All right, we got people trickling in. Thanks everyone for being here, taking time out of your day to be with us today. Yeah, so in the last hour, it was announced that the VProgs repo is now public. KEF has posted this, Michael Sutton has posted this, Hans Moog has said something about this. This is how it goes. This is how meaningful journeys begin. This is really exciting. KRC Bot actually started working on VProgs way before this was announced.
Really? Prior to it even being news?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you and
I'm
Karen,
trying to get,
you and Kate.
yeah, I'm trying to get Jonathan and Michael to both be besties with him. I'm trying to do that.
And KRC Bot's
They're so
always building and working. He
Mhm.
mentioned on last week's show that he was trying to launch that Explorer. That hasn't launched.
Yeah, he's almost done.
Yeah, it's good.
It's got everything you would ever want in an Explorer. And what I like about it is that it doesn't favor one coin over another. I can't say the same for Kaspa Lens, I think it is, or Cas Lens. I can't use that Explorer because the top 4 coins are not in the right placement. And if you look at the number for volume, anything on page 2 and beyond, there's no numbers. It's only for the top ones that are predetermined on page 1. So to me, that's not very considerate to other people's coins. So I'm looking forward to an open source Explorer that's fair, that's honest, that's truthful. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, honestly.
And what would be the reason, Kara, for not showing that? So I don't really understand that. Why would you want to censor information that is obviously open?
To benefit people who want to be seen as number one when they're not.
So they feel good for themselves and are able to pat themselves on the back. That's it. So it's ego. It's an ego thing. Oh yeah, we have ego.
It's
Right.
It's ego, but it's also, hey, look at my coin. It's number one, even though it's not even close.
So
Or
high
even,
school.
and I'm, yeah, and I believe that there's a friend group, and the same group of friends are always grouped at the top, even though those numbers at number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, they're not accurate. If we're looking at the big scheme of things. So I'm looking forward to an accurate Block Explorer. My understanding is that Kaspa.stream is doing a really good job of honesty, but because it's not open source, it's kind of hard to say. So I'm looking forward to the new Kaspa Explorer that's almost out. I'm super excited about it, and it'll be open source. We can check and verify everything.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So I'm curious, Juan. You had a talk recently. A bunch of people were tagged within the Casper community to do a space with Digital Gold Talk, and I'm curious how that went. What are your thoughts on that space?
Man, I guess it turned into drama. I thought essentially it was a pretty good conversation going through it. And so I did jump in about 15, maybe 20 minutes after the conversation started. And I had to hop off at the end, but I noticed through clips because unfortunately the conversation was deleted. Live Twitter, so it wasn't necessarily a space like this. So it was, we were on a stream and he played it. So we could I could see him and he could see me. And I see Wojak there. I think he showed up early, but he was having connection problems. And if I'm not mistaken, Caspa teacher was on there, but didn't show himself. And we were just having the conversation, Kara, and I didn't realize this during the conversation, but now looking back and analyzing the way it went and what he did, so him deleting him deleting the conversation that we had and then putting up a video and saying that Vest in Kaspa, the purpose of what I thought the podcast was just to have a conversation so he could learn about Kaspa. Clearly, he didn't really do much research, and he even said it during the stream that he was in love with these 17 coins. So these 17 coins were his babies, and he also mentioned that he hasn't talked to people from every single one of the communities. So the way I took it, because I went and listened to some of his previous interviews, and it seemed like, okay, this guy's pretty well informed. Seems like he's been in crypto for a while. I got tagged to the post, and I thought a handful of people were going to show up. So it was generally us three that showed up, and there was just a lot of it got pretty tense there at the end, because he wanted to know why we love Kaspa, and we mentioned obviously the speed of how it can do transactions. But I did throw in there, and I see him on here, thanks to Parker, because Parker had this hit home for me when we had him on live on the Kaspa Standard. I said Kaspa's the global sequencer, the settlement layer. We don't have a truth layer where people can verify truth at the base layer in moving not just money but data. So I mentioned, Kaspa's not just a currency. It's not just about money. It's not about just a store of value. And I briefly mentioned Warp Core and what they're looking to do, and what they're trying to create a market for. And it seemed like the answers just weren't what he wanted. So he had a little bit of an agenda. And then the video that he posted up, he said, hey, it's these guys came off as Kaspa maxis, or they identified as Kaspa maxis or Bitcoin maxis. So it was just a disconnect completely all the way around. And I think he had like a specific outcome that he was looking for in the conversation. We didn't bash any other coins, and there's a clip out there. Bishop put up a clip where he said he hates Bitcoin and he hates Ethereum because he thinks Ethereum's ruined the market. And I make it a point not to talk shit about anybody. I don't buy into the calling other things shit coins and whatnot. I understand why some of this stuff launched, and it's mainly because Bitcoin Bitcoin is in a culture of evolving the technology, right? It kind of maxed out and capped out where it did. It's become a store of value at the base layer, and they're trying to scale in layers. So we know that. So I got a little taste of what it was like stepping outside of the community, and I thought it would be a good idea just to probably learn a little more. But this guy is so what he's trying to do is build a fund. He's trying to raise money and get people to invest. And he mentioned it on the podcast, but he's looking for a way to decouple these 17 coins from the Bitcoin price action. So, there's thought and sentiment out there that there's market makers, and we see the volatility of Bitcoin. Well, we know we have Bitcoin ETFs, right? We have market makers. We have BlackRock in this now. So there's a lot of that out there. And I felt the dude's really attached to the price of everything. He's in this to make some money. Nothing wrong with that. That's what he's doing, and that's what he's looking to do. And he's looking to raise money. So at the end of it and kind of digesting it today, I got, okay, this guy's just looking to build a fund. I guess he was looking to invest in a Kaspa and have us be a part, maybe coin number 18, but he's a 17 coin maxi is the way it came off to me. And more power to him. I wish him luck. I didn't appreciate him going up and putting a video saying what we said, and then not having the video of the actual conversation so that people could listen to it and formulate their own opinions. And cool, you don't have to agree with myself. I could care less what people think of me. It's nice when people like me, but I don't need validation from the outside. To me, he was looking for validation. So to me, deleting it and then saying what he said and it not being even close to what actually happened did rub me the wrong way. And I obviously posted a video in response to it. So it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I saw the video. I like what you said. To me, it resonated. It seemed reasonable too, and it didn't come across as aggressive or retaliatory. You were really just asking for someone to be open-minded and go back and look at what was said so we could address it. And even in your video, you said, hey, sometimes I'm wrong and I have to go back and listen and, rethink about, oh, maybe I need to learn from that.
Right.
And this gave an open opportunity for him to kind of reflect and look at this and say, okay, what can I learn from this? And instead, the video is removed, which is so weird. It just doesn't it doesn't
Remove.
seem like it doesn't seem as if it really inspires personal growth. It's just cutting it all off.
No, that wasn't the agenda. The agenda is, hey, I need my investors, and he even said most of his audience, I think, is Gen X, so a little bit older than us. And he mentioned he was not technical. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a technical guy either, but I can explain, and speak my truth and give you my perspective. And just like I said in the video, I don't necessarily come from a place of oh, everything that I say is the way it is. I'm not trying to prove myself. I'm just speaking from my experience and how I see things, right? And then I'm here to learn too, right? So yeah, I did not appreciate the video and him saying that we said certain things when he was the one who literally called
Yeah.
Bitcoin the and there is a clip of this that luckily Bishop has, calling Bitcoin the shit coin of BlackRock. And he said Ethereum literally, and I'm quoting, Ethereum ruined the space with all that. And that I know that that's an opinion out there for sure.
Yeah.
And I did mention to him is like I choose to focus my time on Kaspa. I do have some Bitcoin. I even mentioned in the pod, I go, for me it's base layer Bitcoin. I don't believe in the other part of that, holding it in self custody. And even I do, I know there's going to be issues with that, with obviously with the halvings that are coming up and how much Bitcoin I have and how much it might take to move it, 10 years from now. That's another story. But I think he had a specific agenda. He even mentioned, which I thought was funny. He goes, we went on one date. I invited you guys into my house. I didn't want people to, I didn't want to confuse my whatever, his followers. And it's like, dude, you begged for the date and we showed up
Yeah.
because you were begging
Yeah.
us to come on, and then you
Yeah.
delete the conversation. That makes no sense. And then you come on there and I get it. You share your perspective, but and the thing is, before I even had a chance to say anything, before he put that video up, he blocked me. So I responded to to that
What?
post, but he blocked me before I had anything else to say. So I can see so, and that makes no sense. So I had to.
Oh, that is weak. And it's ironic because you don't have the habit of blocking people. You're always
I've
trying to
never
work
blocked
things
anybody.
out.
I haven't blocked a
Yeah.
single person. There's nobody that's blocked. I had to block somebody who was spamming me. Remember back when the Unchained, not to bring back old news, but when you were managing the Unchained account for a couple days, and I put up a post that was kind of controversial, I got a little bit of spam, right? So I had to block somebody because they wouldn't stop. And then they came back and said, "Oh, I was drunk. I'm sorry," and I unblocked them. So I literally have nobody blocked. There's no one blocked.
And yet you have people blocking you for
Oh, all the time.
trivial shit.
Yeah, I've
That's
shared it.
wild.
But I shared that Breedlove unblocked me, the Bitcoiner, and I've met Breedlove. Like we were friends for a little bit. He reblocked me. That is a reblock, and I haven't done anything.
That's
So
wild.
little propaganda campaign, whatever. They can't stop truth. I'm not even worried about that. Not even worried. So it just shows that we're in the right place at the right time, Kara. That's the way I see all this. That's what I get from this little tussle back and forth. And if anything, it like gives me energy to continue on. It doesn't. It just adds fuel to the fire, right? To keep speaking. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we're having the right conversations, and it's ruffling feathers. And to me, that's always shown, okay, I'm on the right path. As long as I'm
Mhm.
staying in truth, I'll be humble and say, okay, shit, I was wrong about that. I have no problem saying when I was wrong, or taking a look at a different perspective. You've gotten to know me. This is our 14th show. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not. I'll bring the pit bull out if the pit bull needs to come out, but I'm pretty chill. I'm like my friends call me like a
Yeah.
warrior chief. chill type of dude, but I played football for 9 years too. I have that guy in me. He's there. Uh,
Oh yeah.
you've seen it from time to time, for sure.
But overall, you're a gentle
Oh yeah,
giant.
yeah.
I think a giant is ready to squash when the turtle gets out of hand and starts nipping at the heels. Don't poke the bear.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I never go looking for it, but I'll defend and up until I have to, right? Because sometimes it's not even worth it. So I put a post up, I put a video up, I'm like, that's it. A couple people tagged me wanting to know some more information. So I shared it with them. But just like everything in the space, it's the news for today, and we'll forget about it by tomorrow. And we'll move on to better things and the things that are important. And there'll be other opportunities,
Yeah.
right? Like that we're having more and more listeners tune into us. I got the thing going with Bishop on Mondays. I think there's another blockchain banner show, right? That is on Tuesdays on YouTube now. There's
Hmm.
momentum being built within this ecosystem. So think about the sentiment in crypto land right now because of where things are nominally, and then look at everything that Kaspa has done in the past year and where it's headed, and we're just in a beautiful place right now. So
That's
yeah,
amazing. Well, there's some interesting news going on. I'm throughout this show, I'm gonna kind of do what I've done in the past, which is I'm just gonna throw a few things out there from time to time of new things that are in the news going on with Caspa or with crypto that's gonna affect all of us. And we can kind of intersperse this with some of our stories. One of the things that's going on right now, Donald Trump today went to the WEF and he was recorded making a speech saying that he wants to sign a bill that is very pro crypto infrastructure. And I just kind of want to remind everybody that back in March of last year, KII made an entire post about how they were going to be meeting with the SEC Crypto Task Force. And those who know about this bill are aware that this is it's being created basically by the SEC, or I mean, they're involved in it, I guess you'd say. I don't know if they're the actual ones writing it, right? But the SEC slash the CFTC, I don't know if people know what this is. It stands for Commodity Futures Trading Commission. They're the ones that are doing the oversight for digital commodities. This is where Bitcoin and stuff like that come in, and Caspa. And this bill, I've been trying to figure out exactly what's in it, right? But I know that KII spoke with the people who are doing this oversight because they talked about how that meeting was going to take place. They wrote about this in March. So this is very interesting stuff, and it's very bullish for us if this gets passed. We'll, of course, need it passed. I think the Senate and all that have to do this first. But what it's going to do, um, actually, I have this pulled up right now. I'm going to just kind of share a little bit about this. So let's see. It's going to allow national banks to use digital assets. It modernizes record keeping, provides resources for implementation, such as fees and hiring. And let's see. Let's see. A lot of this is also about, so we've heard this whole thing about commodities versus securities, right? Here's what I put this in Grok to kind of have it break it down for me a little bit. And it says that the bill is seeking to foster growth by clarifying rules, reducing SEC dominance over the non-security assets, and prioritizing CFTC for commodities like crypto. If it's signed, it could accelerate mainstream adoption through ongoing Senate negotiations and may alter details like stablecoin rewards or DeFi developer protections. There are different prohibitions and protections in there and exemptions, and it can get really kind of complicated. So I'm not going to get into all that because it's not my wheelhouse. However, if you go to KII's X page and do a search on their page for SEC, you'll see all the different progress they've been making with them. You can run some of this through AI and see for yourself because there's a lot going on there. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to read this part. This bill aims to provide regulatory clarity for digital assets by distinguishing between securities overseen by the SEC and commodities overseen by the CFTC. So yeah, securities, that's SEC, commodities, that's CFTC. There's two different oversight committees here. Reducing overlap and uncertainty that has plagued the industry. So it passed the House in last year, it actually passed with bipartisan support, but now it's stalled in the Senate with markups delayed until late February or March as committees pivot to Trump's housing affordability priorities. Oh, that's interesting. If anybody knows more details about this, we would love to have you as a speaker. If you have any knowledge about this, if you feel that you have insight or know what's going on and can break things down, obviously we would love to have you up on our panel. So just click that request button and we'd love to hear from you. This is it seems bullish. I don't know enough about it. I just know that anything uh, that Trump would get up and say, "Hey, this is pro crypto. It's going to benefit Bitcoin, everybody." That's actually what he said. Bitcoin, everyone. So everyone includes us, Kaspa fanatics. Uh, so if he's in favor of this and he's pro crypto, we're assuming this is a good bill. But you never know with these bills. You really have to read them up close and see what it's all about. And just knowing that KII was having a meeting about this with the SEC, uh, very, very bullish. But then again, SEC and the CFTC are different. So this is something to kind of look at and get some more answers on. Do you think Bishop would know anything about this one? I can't hear you. I did get a message from Bishop saying that he would be here in a little bit. Juan, are you talking? Can anyone hear Juan or do you just hear me? If you hear Juan, do a thumbs up or something. Juan, I think you're silent. Okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna remove as a speaker and redo. Hmm. Okay, it looks like having a little technical difficulties here. I'm gonna reach out to them. 1 second. Sometimes this happens with X. Every now and then we get a little bit of a hiccup. So while we try to get Juan back in here as a speaker, let's see here. Yeah. Oh, we got Rory and Juan. I just added you as a
Sorry,
speaker.
I left you hanging. My bad. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, we hear you very nice and clear. Very good.
I dropped off really quick and I had to be added back on. So I'm as a speaker. Put me you have to put me as a co-host in order for me to share any of the
Yeah,
of like the VProg stuff that you mentioned earlier.
you should have an invite.
Donde está? Okay, it'll come through.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
Rory, I just resent a speaker
Oh,
thing I
he's
saw
there.
that you
He's a speaker.
requested. Okay, I guess it's just on delay for me because I don't see it yet.
No, that's perfect. So he can take over. So I know you asked if you asked
Yes,
if Bishop
I'm
might know
glad.
something, but you shared about the KII. I'll let
Yeah,
Rory
I want
jump
to
in.
hear firsthand rather than guess. I really just kind of want to know. So we'll hear from the source, which I love.
Hey guys.
Hey Rory, great for you to stay up for us. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
great to have you again, Rory. And I have so much respect for what you guys are doing. And before you start talking, I just want to say that I spent hours yesterday and today going back and listening to speeches and interviews of you and of Paul, going back a long time to kind of see how you guys have grown and what you've been doing. And yeah, I feel that you guys are keeping your word. And so when I saw that people were calling you guys scamming and vaporware, I really got upset about it because I could tell that you guys are doing something really good. And I think you've done your due diligence by being cautious and not making promises you can't keep. And I just really respect that a lot. So I just wanted to just let you know that I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And for being here, obviously, as well.
Well, I have a call with uh, East Asia in a little bit, so um, an early morning call with China, so the time difference doesn't help. Um, yeah, yeah, I think you'll if you've gone through interviews and things that we've said in the past, I think we're consistent in what we've always said. Um, we're consistent in terms of what our mission is. We're focused on exactly what we were founded to do, which was to be a market enabler for Kaspa for industry. I don't know why anybody would come to the conclusion that we're scammy because we're not we're not doing token issuing. Anybody that sees a token that's linked to any of our projects, that's not real. It's not us. We're not issuing any tokens. Um, the products that we're developing are for industry. They're not available for retail. Um,
Yeah, people will say, "Hey, how come you don't have something now? How come these projects aren't launched now? Where's the volume you're
we
doing for
do have
Caspa now?" They're like, "Now, now, now. What is this? Prove it to me. Show me your demos. Show me your timelines. Do what we say. Do it, do it, do it."
we do have things out there that are testing. Um, lots of things, in fact. But they're for industrial use, they're for enterprises, they're for businesses, and the community isn't entitled to business processes where a business is looking at testing something that will give them a commercial advantage over their competitors. And there's absolutely no way on earth that we would break our NDAs because we don't want to get sued. There's absolutely, for certain products, we will never ever release the source code for security reasons. But there's lots of things out there that we're doing. We've developed custom silicon, for example, for industrial devices that allow industrial devices to transactions. We've built prototypes of some hardware that will sit in a particular industrial process. That as we're developing, we're able to access a particular industrial process, through hardware which we've installed at industrial facilities through our partners that have enabled us to test various different things. We have no obligation to share any of that information, or any of that code, or to demonstrate it, or to disclose who the parties are. It's nobody's damn business, and we've no intention of sharing it. Why should we?
I love
We
that.
don't owe the
And
community.
I love that
We
you're
don't owe the
setting the
community
record
anything.
straight. Go ahead. I just want to
Yeah.
say I'm glad you're setting the record straight. Go ahead, Juan.
No, I was gonna say I love that Rory just said it's nobody's damn business. Like I think retail just doesn't understand how things really work in business. A lot of people come from being employees and thinking like they have the right to know this information, but that's the thing about a decentralized project like Caspa. Even thinking about the pod that I was on yesterday, and how that the host said, hey, came to a conclusion just based on three opinions within Caspa. I do not represent Caspa. I'm my name, my government name is Juan. I have it out there now. It's Juan Gabriel Ramos, but I am in this to participate and see what I could do for Caspa. And I think a lot of people are just waiting, just because it's the KII, they're industry facing. I just think a lot of it is retail not really understanding how things work. It's not an overnight thing. Caspa launched 4 years ago. This stuff takes time. And yeah, I had a conversation with Kara prior to jumping on the show, and she did a deep dive, and it was amazing how consistent it's been in terms of the messaging from the KII. So if you just go back and see everything they're doing, it's pretty transparent. And yeah, they're doing their thing, and these things take time. So I love that he said
Yeah.
it's nobody's damn business.
And like you said, Juan, I did a deep dive because people have been giving KII so much grief. Not everybody, it's just a couple people, it's just a few trolls here and there. But they say, hey, where's the proof? Where's this? Where's that? And so I put on my tinfoil hat and I try to look at this from their perspective. Oh, what if KI is really trying to pull the wool over our eyes? Let me go back and see if I can find it was actually more conviction for what KII is doing, seeing the consistency, seeing legitimacy, and really everything has been so above board that I'm just fascinated, which brings us to this whole thing that's going on now with this CFTC thing and KII back in, I think, March or something. You guys posted about an SEC meeting. Is there anything you can tell us about this new crypto bill and the meeting? Is there anything that you can share, or was it all cloak and dagger? Like, what can you
No, no,
share?
no. It was very simple, actually. Um, uh, we met with the SEC and we met with the Commodities Future Trade Commission, and it was very categorized as a digital commodity. So it wouldn't it wouldn't come under the auspices of the SEC. And similarly, if we were to tokenize or create a facility for the trading of liquefied or sorry, just green hydrogen, ammonia, sustainable aviation fuel, and they were represented digitally, so there were digital representations of the actual commodity, that they would also fall under the the scrutiny of the CFTC rather than the SEC. And then our message to the SEC was quite clear. Kaspa, it's very difficult. Bitcoin gets a free ride on everything because it's totally decentralized with anonymized founders, and it has effectively been grandfathered into everything in terms of regulation and everything else. And it disappoints us when we see Bitcoin specifically mentioned as a specific asset, by regulatory agencies, when Kaspa, for example, has exactly the same attributes that Bitcoin does, except if you try to officially apply or whatever else, you're suddenly met with these forms which are designed for crypto crap, um, backed by VCs and private companies that are not true digital commodities but digital securities. No matter what way they want to spin it, any of the other things out there, including Ethereum, which is an aberration in this, where Ethereum is classified as a crypto commodity. But that's because it originally started as proof of work and so on. But we take issue with things like pre-allocations and all of those sorts of things. So the meeting was to essentially ensure Kaspa's position as a true digital commodity rather than a digital security, and to express frustration that anything new that has exactly the same attributes as Bitcoin gets treated differently, and they want to know your registered office, who your directors are, and they want a full the full typical due diligence that goes into any regulated financial services business, which is impossible to do with Kaspa. So that was basically what the meetings were for. It was to establish that and demonstrate that Kaspa has the qualities of a crypto commodity, or a digital commodity, rather than that of anything else.
Can I ask you, what was the reaction when you said, "Hey, can you not just mention Bitcoin?" What was the reaction to that?
Well, once we explained it very clearly, they understood it. But what was quite interesting was that Sailor had been in a few weeks before, and produced a digital taxonomy on what the different crypto classes were. And we simply referred to that and said, look, this is something that we support, and we believe that this is the right structure. It's one of the good things that Sailor has actually done. So we just wanted to echo that. So the rest of the conversation, we had discussions about gigawatt coin, and how gigawatt coin would be viewed if it was backed by commodities and digital commodities, and what that would look like from a regulatory perspective. If we were to build a basket of assets um, into a stable coin that included commodities, um, what that might look like from a regulatory perspective. In terms of the specific legislation going past, I can't going through at the moment. I can't really speak to that because Bara from our team is responsible for institutional relations and deals with all of the national regulatory agencies, particularly in Europe, but also further afield. So I don't have a particular view on or sight on what's actually happening with um, the various legislative actions that are going on in the US, because I'm focused on other things within our ecosystem.
So in the WEF, there was another video that surfaced that was talking about wind and solar and carbon net zero, right? All of that. So I immediately thought of KII. And there was this talk about how China is the one building the batteries. And I remember that back in November, you guys went to China. Did that have anything to do with this battery thing that was talked about at the WEF?
We have a long-standing relationship with China. So DII GmbH, before DII became a new foundation relatively recently, a non-profit foundation. It had two shareholders, with DII GmbH in Germany. Uh, the two principal shareholders were one, State Grid Corporation of China, which is one of the largest companies in the world. It's the largest company in China, and we have an excellent relationship with them. And the second is Aquapower, which are the biggest developers of renewable energy in the Middle East. And then, aside from that, we were looking to, Paul, myself, and some others were looking to acquire a Chinese company that manufactured bromine, um, which is used for large scale flow batteries. So, in terms of other business that we're doing, we're interested, of course, in energy storage. And what we wanted to do was to ensure that we were able to secure key components of the supply chain, and we were looking at securing a bromine company for that, for zinc bromine and bromine with something else. I can't quite remember. But for large stationary flow batteries for um, uh, grid scale energy storage, bromine is um, a very interesting material to use for those types of batteries. And the other reason we wanted it was because they were listed on the Nasdaq, and we were very keen on doing a reverse takeover of that Nasdaq business in order to um, do a reverse takeover and place some of the commercial Kaspa KAI commercial activities into and raise money for our continued expansion and development on the Nasdaq. So that's one of the other reasons why we were visiting and talking with the SEC. So in terms of batteries and everything else, has really commercialized and commoditized solar panels and has reduced the cost of them dramatically. A mega research unit. One of many, but one is called GYRI, the Global Energy Internet Research Institute. The other one is CEPRI, China Electric Power Research Institute. And between both of them, I don't know how many researchers they have, but I know it's something in the order of magnitude of about 50,000 PhD level researchers. So we have a very good relationship with them because um, they are one of the historical shareholders of DII before it transitioned into its most recent form, and they're the top partner listed within DII itself.
That's so fascinating. Wow. Bromine batteries. I don't even know what bromine is. Is that a metal? What is that?
It's a liquid that's extracted from the ground. It's usually associated with natural gas, and you then it has these big attenuation pools, and these huge pools, and you naturally just let the water evaporate, and you're left with bromine. So there's three main areas of bromine production in the world. One is Israel, the second is Sweden, and the third is China.
I see. Okay.
And because we're very interested in vertical integrations, we want to control in terms of the businesses that we invest in. We want to generally have a full vertical integration. So we want to own the mine, we want to own the process, and then we want to own the final asset.
Oh.
So that just gives you a little bit of background, and we were very keen then on doing a reverse takeover of the Nasdaq shell and rolling the commercial aspects of KI into that. So yes, KI Foundation, the Kaspa Industrial Initiative Foundation, is not for profit, and its primary mission is to promote Kaspa to industry, and to demonstrate to industry the capabilities that Kaspa has, why it's different, why it's a very useful digital ledger technology, and that's our core mission. And then the second part of it is to act as a market enabler. And sometimes part of market enabling is that you need to create demonstration projects for industry or work directly alongside them and say, hey, we can make this process better, or we can, when we're designing markets, and we discussed that the last time, when we're designing new markets for new commodities involved in the energy transition, that we can use an infrastructure and a technology like Kaspa to facilitate that.
Yeah, I listened to the interview that you did with XXIM when you were talking with Ankit, and he had asked, hey, for those of you who are not as familiar with crypto, what do you mean by market enabling? And you had such a good answer that I actually understood it. I would encourage anyone here to go to the XXIM interview where Ankit interviewed Rory and had this discussion about market enabling,
No,
all
it
that.
was
Oh,
Paul.
Paul, sorry.
He interviewed
You're
Paul.
right. That was Paul. I'm sorry. I listened to so many videos. I listened to a lot of Paul's and a lot of yours, and then I'm kind of getting some of them mixed up. But you're right. That was with Paul. And part of what was discussed was also the how I guess the solar energy over the last 25 years, I guess, has gone down from 25 cents for I hope I'm not getting this wrong, for a kilowatt hour down to about a penny, or even
Oh,
for
it
free
was it
sometimes.
was a lot more than that.
Oh my gosh. Can you tell me, I want to get these numbers right. Can you tell us?
Well, it was in the dollars per kilowatt range, and then it went and stabilized, to 60 or 70 cent, which still required huge amounts of government subsidies.
Whoa.
And because of the vast manufacturing capabilities of China, it's down to where you can build a project, finance it, make a good return on your investment, and only charge 1.3 cent per kilowatt hour for a long-term offtake agreement.
Amazing. So I
So
guess the 25 cent
if
thing wasn't 25 years ago. That must have been a lot more recent, maybe 9 years or something like that.
that would have been about 12 to 14 years ago.
Oh wow. I see, this is why I'm glad you're here. You're clearing that up. That's great. I love that.
But let me just talk to you about how fast China is installing solar panels. Um, we discussed this at a at the DAI board a couple of months ago in Dubai. And now I may get this wrong, but it's approximately 1,000 new solar panels on average every minute of every day that's being installed in China.
Can you say that number again?
And it could be per second, but let's be sure that I'm not exaggerating. But it's at least 1,000 per minute solar panels
1,000
every
solar panels per minute.
every hour of every day
Oh wow.
if if you average it out. But I actually think the number is higher.
Wow.
So that's how fast China is accelerating.
Wow.
They also have the capability of doing intercontinental transport of energy via power transmission systems. And they have a plan for what they call the global energy internet, where basically when it's nighttime in China and it's daytime in Europe, they're able to share the resources between across continents.
What's I've
Um,
heard some conflicting information when it comes to China and crypto. Sometimes I hear that they block people from mining crypto, and other people say that's not true. Do you happen to know what's allowed in China as far as mining crypto?
I believe it's still illegal.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's one of the reasons that we're looking specifically at uh, power to X, so i.e. power to green hydrogen, power to AI, power to high frequency or high intensity compute, or power to crypto mining in Mongolia, because it's right on the border. They have a border between Inner Mongolia and Outer Mongolia, which spans the Gobi Desert. But then, in terms of sovereignty, you can locate a data center physically very close to China for mining or whatever else, and be able to capture the data coming from people who want to use AI compute and have their data outside of China, or have their crypto transactions conducted outside of China. So Mongolia is very strategically important for us going forward.
Juan, do you have any thoughts on this? I just also want to make sure that your mic is working because I'm not able
Yeah,
to add
no,
you as a host for some reason, even though you are the co-host.
it's okay. It's all good. I think I've accidentally not added you in the past. So I know you're just getting me back for that. That's really what's happening.
No, it's not. I can't add
It's
you.
okay.
I'm
I
glitching
forgive. I
out.
forgive. It's all good. No, no, I'm enjoying the back and forth with you and Rory. I found a post there that said 100 solar panels. I posted on top,
A
or said every sec.
thousand.
Yeah, he said 1,000. So I found a post that says 100 every second. I know Rory said 1,000 every minute.
Wow,
So
that's
no,
a lot.
it sounds like all bullish, bullish news and great. No, no. So I've been enjoying the back and forth with you and Rory. You did the deep dive. You did a deep dive. So
Dude, there's so much that I learned. I'm so fascinated by all of this. There's so much that I didn't even consider. I mean, my mind is still blown over everything. I mean, just the fact, for instance, that KI is doing this pro bono, I had no idea until today when I was going back and listening to some old videos and old stuff. It's so
Well,
incredible.
it's in our interest because we're looking at the next decades ahead, and the decades ahead that we're looking at are very important because you know we're DII last week in Abu Dhabi. They announced their outlook for their 2026 outlook to 2030. You can find the report on their website. But effectively, there's 800 major projects being developed in the MENA region in terms of just large scale energy related projects, and we're tracking them very closely in the DII database. So the IEA, the International Energy Agency, says by 2040 global electricity consumption is going to absolutely skyrocket because there's going to be greater electrification, and electricity consumption will become the basis of the global economy, because of greater electrification in terms of buildings, air conditioning, e-mobility, decarbonisation of industry, and data centres being the key driver. And with more people on the planet, it requires more cooling. And I think one of the statistics from the IEA is that electricity consumption just for air conditioning on the planet will triple by 2050. And then if you look at just general digitalization and AI, they're further drivers of rising energy demand. And the IEA have estimated that electricity from data centers alone will double to it's almost 1,000 terawatt hours by 2030. And that would equal the total consumption of a country like Japan, the total electricity consumption of a country like Japan, or represent about 3 to 3.5% of global electricity demand. So that's why we're interested in this, because the market wants clean, affordable energy, and rightly so. So there's a lot of high cost pressure, and affordable energy is a decisive factor for the economy and prosperity. Um, and there's always this balance between profit and climate. And if we're able to facilitate better trading, less abuse and fraud and everything else within the energy industry and the new forms of energy that are emerging, particularly related to green energy, where there's carbon permits and all of that sort of stuff. That's very good for society in general, but it's also very good in terms of um, uh, businesses becoming more profitable, because the margins in energy, yes, energy is a huge business, but the margins tend to be quite thin. So anything that we can do that can introduce more efficiencies into that, by using things uh, like Kaspa is quite important, because digitalization of power generation means uh, electricity that's consumed directly at the point of consumption from large renewable sources, independent of large suppliers and volatile prices, is a very good thing. So that's generation behind the meter. So this power to X, where we can build power generation assets off the grid that can supply data centers or crypto mining or other compute, and take the pressure off of the existing grid. So, here's the thing: everybody wants off, everybody likes their chat GPTs and their AIs and everything else, but they don't realize that if these hyperscaler data centers, when they're added onto the power grid, and there's new sources of generation coming onto the power grid, um, all of the infrastructure that's required for doing that, the new power lines, the new transformers, and all of that, renewable power, all of that gets socialized, and you end up paying for it. You end up paying for all those new transmission towers, that go in to facilitate a new hyperscale data center that's connected to the power grid. It gets directly added on as part of the transmission charges by your local utility, and it's socialized and spread across all of the consumers rather than the actual data center itself. So we're trying to ensure that that process is we can do it with greater security and independence, in a more efficient way. So that's ostensibly why we're there, and we think Kaspa is a very useful infrastructure, because as it continues to develop and ultimately develops into a real-time decentralization network, well, energy works in real time. So Kaspa is a very suitable use. So it's quite offensive and insulting that people claim that we're being scammy or whatever else. Why would you come to that conclusion?
Right.
We're not asking the Kaspa community or the crypto community for anything. We're simply saying we want to support Kaspa, and that's it. We're developing products that are useful for industry, particularly the energy industry, and how we're building them. We're not going to disclose our source code, because this infrastructure, these products and these applications are being built for secure critical infrastructure. Do you think we're absolutely nuts? Are we off our head that we're going
Yeah.
to disclose source
No,
code that's
I
used
think
in critical
Rory,
infrastructure?
I think that's mostly retail and people that don't really get it and are impatient, and maybe some.
Yeah, well, they can
Yeah,
go fuck themselves.
hey, there we go. Tell it like it is. That it's the people that need the number to go up, that need Casper to be at like 10, 15, 20, 30 cents or a dollar by tomorrow. So there are those people out there. So I think, I mean, it's just exciting to hear the breakdown, and obviously learning from you and getting to talk to you here the last couple weeks, and hearing you on the other blockchain banner, because a lot of the things that you're talking about, I think about where we're going, where we're moving to. So again, to just hit on all the things that are coming, and the infrastructure, the old legacy system that's in place right now. And in my study of Bitcoin, and then discover, you mentioned Sailor earlier, and I put up some laughing emojis because the narrative still out there is, hey, Bitcoin is the only digital commodity. And Kara asked the question in terms of what
It's completely useless for the energy industry. It's
exactly, so
absolutely
that's what I was going to
useless.
say. So based on what you have shared, and just, I mean, almost common sense, right? If you understand Bitcoin, every 10 minutes, like you just said, energy is instant and it needs to be moved. So I'm just thinking about what it would look like when when Kaspa is ready for the real-time decentralization, and what this is going to do, and what that does to, one of Odie's concerns last week, where he's like, we got 2 years for the security budget, and what I got from the way you looked at it as, like, it's not even a concern, just if you only knew everything that we're working on. And you obviously can't disclose everything because of the NDAs, but yeah, we appreciate what you are sharing.
It's not only NDAs. It's we have real issues in terms of global security, national security
Mm,
interests, infrastructure security interests, and that's why we're not disclosing certain
yeah.
things. And that's why gigawatt coin will never be available for consumer use, because it's not designed for that. It's designed specifically for the energy market, for the energy sector. The same with the Zeta trading exchange. It's for actors in the energy system. And similarly with GeoSeal, we announced GeoSeal because there's lots and lots of other applications for it. Like my phone exploded today, with people saying, "Oh my God, we could use it in our processes for X, Y, and Z." Um, we really would love to talk to you about this. But GeoSeal is for high value assets, or for assets that are potentially open to fraud. But we decided that is something that we will make available to businesses and enterprises for commercial use. But we've already been using it and testing it for a while. So, for example, um, we connect it to um, what are called GNSS receivers, or basically GPS signaling devices. You might occasionally see guys standing, a group of surveyors standing on the road, and they have these poles with these little round balls on top, and they seem to be just standing there, and they're taking sight lines. They're mapping exactly where infrastructure is, and so, for example, if China is installing 100 panels per second, or I thought it was 1,000 a minute, but either way, we're that's a lot of solar panels. We want to make sure that those panels actually physically exist in those physical locations, because one, they have a finite life, and so the renewable energy credits that go along with that are recorded. And if we use, for GeoSeal, external, what are called GNSS or RTK receivers with high accuracy, um, they're they're down to the centimeter or sub-centimeter accuracy level, where a phone GPS is accurate to 3 to 5 meters. So, there's a lot of responsibility. If you want to start tokenizing those assets, you want to know exactly where they are.
So that leads me to another question, because you're saying, okay, it's to know where it is, but in the tweet that was made, it was clear that this is not tracking. This is proof of existence. So can you kind of
Yeah.
explain the distinction? Because you want to know where it is, but it's not tracking. So what do you mean by that?
Um, it's exactly what it says it means. It means, we want to prove that an asset actually exists. So, um, if there is a power plant or a particular facility, or a metering point that measures carbon or whatever else at a particular location, we want to prove that it exists in that specific location so that we can trust that it actually exists and it's producing emissions information from that particular location. I'm just using the carbon markets because that's ostensibly where we're starting from. Or, for olive chain, we want to know that that tree exists in that location and it physically exists.
That's awesome. I have a
Or a
weird
shipping
thing.
container
So I know this is
with
enterprise and shipping, but I have a question. You don't have to answer this, but I want to ask. Since hardware can, uh, because you said it can find things in motion, could this be used to track human beings who might be stuck in human trafficking so that we can actually stop that?
well, it's going to have there needs to be
Or is it worse?
there needs to be. Well, you will know. Again, you could take the exact location with an identity document or biometrics and prove that somebody was in a particular place at a particular time. You could take a retinal scan plus, which proves existence, because you can't fake a dead retina, and attest that a particular biometric signature was at a particular place at a particular time.
So if digital ID, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on. If digital ID is implemented one day, are they going to use GeoSeal against us?
That's not our intention. We're not focusing on that as a use case.
See, that's the thing, because there's so many positive cases that can be used with this, with supply chains and improving the existence of things. Like you said, knowing that an eye scan is alive and not dead. And my tinfoil hat goes, oh my gosh, what if someone's trying to escape human trafficking, but they can always be located, so they have to get back and they can't be. I mean, I don't know. But then again, this is not for retail, it's for enterprise. So what happens if
Well, you could use for voting, for example. So every time you go in, every time you go to get your driver's license renewed, you can use a retinal scan.
Ooh.
Compare the retinal scan or just the biometric hash, that you voted at a particular voting station, and it was actually a real live human who actually voted.
Oh, interesting.
Again, that's not something that
Yeah.
we're marketing it for, but it's something that it could be used for.
I love your candor and that you're even willing to bring that up. So I appreciate that. That's great.
It's just one of the very very many use cases that GeoSeal has. It's a very basic, primitive, but we've built in lots and lots and lots and lots of safeguards.
All right. So what about this? What if somebody takes a GeoSeal? When I say somebody, obviously it can't be retail. It'd have to be some big enterprise. But let's say it's put into a rocket ship. could the entire world see this information? For instance, can we know that it goes out into space and goes beyond a firmament? Because that would prove whether or not there's flat Earth or not. If we can see the proof of existence going beyond our atmosphere, is this something that the public would be able to look at any point?
You mean if there's a satellite in space and it has a location?
No, I mean if we put a geosil tracker or something into an object, just to say the object is inside this rocket that is supposed to go past Pluto, right? Is there a way that all humans could see the data to see if it actually left our atmosphere or not?
I can't see why not.
If it's just for Enterprise, is it just for Enterprise's eyes only, or is this something that the public would be able to check?
Well, the thing is, everything that GeoSeal produces is highly encrypted, and it's only there to prove that something was that something was physically present at a particular time and place, and that there's an attestation that it actually was physically there and physically existed in a time and place. Now, if you sent a satellite out, you could use a laser tracker or radio frequency wave, and just use something like time domain reflectometry to bounce a signal back and forth off and calculate the distance from the return signal, and get a rough indication of its location. But I'm not an astrophysicist, so I don't know the exact mechanism that you would use. But yeah, you could probably use it for that system.
Okay.
It's not designed for that, but
Yeah.
it can be used. It can be used in 3D space as well. So, for example, we can use GeoSeal to prove that, for example, a drone was in a particular place at a particular time.
Whoa.
For example.
Could you see that being maybe used on a battlefield so we could see all the drones, just as if we see now all the ships and all the airplanes? Would this be something for that?
I don't want to talk about any military applications or anything like that.
Okay.
Again, that's not what it's designed for. But for delivery drones and things like that, potentially yes, because remember we did a long time ago speak about a product called Airspace 3D.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a limit to
So
how deep it can go underground?
underground, yes, because you do need some open sky to be able to, and similarly underwater, GPS doesn't work underwater.
Huh. So that was my next question is could it be used in deep ocean? So I guess
No,
not. Okay.
you can't. GPS doesn't work underwater. So if you want to, for example, if you break a fiber optic cable underwater or a power cable underwater, again, you would use, depending on most power cables that are underwater have fiber optics built in to detect things like that, and you use a technology called time domain reflectometry. Basically, you fire a laser down, and then you see at which point the signal will either return or backscatter,
What
and at
was
that
that
point
called
your
again? What did you call that term?
time domain reflectometry.
Time domain reflectometry.
So you can detect a breakage in a cable, and you're able to figure that out within a few meters usually. it's a very, very difficult science. It's something that I spent a lot of time working on in the past, which is
Wow.
trying to figure out, when we were installing power cables from the back of ships, because there is no GPS, we had to calculate very carefully where the cable would touch down several hundred meters under the water.
Wow. So
This
as long
stuff
as there's
is,
GPS, this can prove the existence, this geosil. That's really
yeah,
cool.
but if you were to use a GPS blocker or anything else, we do have fail safes.
Ah, so if there was an anti-jammer, if I had something like that, or what if it's off the grid? Because you had mentioned earlier that some people are taking things off the grid now. If does it work with that? Does there have to? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, you can't.
How does geosil?
Once there's either a GPS or GLONASS or whatever the Chinese satellites are, um, you're able to you're able to confirm off of all three different networks. It isn't confirmed off of just one network. If that falls over and fails, default to GSM cell tower triangulation. And then if there's another blocker in place, then you can't actually add a geoseal to 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 prove that an asset is in a location and that it actually exists.
Oh,
If you,
wow. Is this using a satellite to look at some guarantee that there is a cow right there? Is that how it's doing this, or is it human based where a human verifies it?
there's a combination of different things depending on the different applications. So
Hmm.
some require proof of human presence
Oh,
as part of the attestation.
I bet this was a huge undertaking to do this and create this. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's we've been working on it for a while.
I bet. This is, congratulations, by the way. This is on the edge of technology. I mean, I've never heard of anything quite like this. And the fact that this is happening on the Kaspa network is so cool.
Yes,
Bitcoin can't do this.
it links back then to corporate GIS systems and things like that. Um, uh, GIS standing for Geographical Information Systems, or basically sort of corporate industrial versions of Google Earth. Um, so, you can. One of the nice things with zero knowledge proofs and encryption and hashes and everything else is that you don't have to disclose the underlying data. You can prove that an asset exists by just having the particular hash on Caspa being validated.
That's the brilliance of this, is that it doesn't require knowing all of that. It's cryptographically provable. The hash itself says it's here, we can prove it. You don't need to know all the little stuff behind it. It's here, it's real, it exists. Boom.
Exactly. And that's what's for, and the applications for it are extensive.
I imagine. I mean, when I heard that this was released, that it's here, my initial brain just went in a million directions of all the different use cases of this, and it just got me thinking about how difficult this must have been to implement, because this does not sound simple. This sounds very complicated, but the end result is so simple for the end user. It's just a hash. And that's what makes it so genius.
Exactly, and that's the whole idea. It's the same way we approached Warp Core. We went directly to the end result. That's the most important one, which is the receipt that the transaction actually happened and it's recorded on chain, rather than trying to retool entire banking institutions.
That's incredible.
Um,
That's just really, I wish I could give you guys a big trophy. It's just such a monumental achievement.
but
It kind of reminds me of the fact that we can cryptographically prove the Genesis block without having to look at everything leading there. We can just know that it's proven. It's kind of, to me, a similar situation.
Well, it's extremely important for the tokenization of real world assets. So if you want to tokenize a building or land or a mine or whatever else, or the emissions coming from a factory, you need to prove that that asset physically exists in that physical place at that particular point in time. You can't tokenize anything unless you can prove that it exists in a place and it's there physically at the point of tokenization.
That it's important to have something that fights against fraud.
That pretty much pretty much every other real world asset tokenization nonsense that's out there has failed to address. But it's the very first thing that you need. So this is the beauty of coming from the real world and not crypto land, because we regularly see fraud when it comes to carbon certificates coming out of places like China and India and everything else, and they come from very, very dubious sources. In some cases, the facilities just don't exist.
Is this going to save money in an industry by rooting out fraud?
Yes.
So not only is energy consumption going to be going up, but the cost of money being lost will go down. So this actually has a huge benefit to the fact that we're having more energy consumption.
It's not just
And
energy, it's logistics and supply chains and everything else. Where is an extremely high value asset at a particular point in time? Does it exist in this place at this particular point in time for, a high value asset?
I want to go ahead and open the floor to anyone who may want to jump up on the panel and be a speaker. If you have any questions or would like to um, just have some comments, anyone can request to speak. Normally, Juan could even say this, but for some reason, I can't add him as a co-host. But for those joining us, he is a co-host. So just want to let everybody know. I don't know why I can't, but only allowed to have up to 2 co-hosts, and it thinks he's already one, but he's not listed as one. But if anyone wants to come up and speak, feel free to request. Yeah.
But just add on Crypto Pump's Blockchain Banter on YouTube last night. We went into this in a lot of detail, and we explained it in quite some detail as well last night. If anybody wants to go and listen back to that.
Yes. Thank you. I'm definitely gonna listen to that. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I found my solution for cooking s'mores as well. Now that I know what s'mores are.
So you tried s'mores, Rory? Did you make some?
No, but I figured out how to cook them.
Oh, okay.
So I have a flamethrower that we got from the Boring Company, one of Elon Musk's companies, after we did a site visit. And
Not a flamethrower.
we have the not a flamethrower. So it's something that's in my office that I can utilize as a weapon. When I want to get my own way on things sometimes. So it just happened to be in the office, and we referenced our discussion last week on s'mores, and the Irish and the British people on the show weren't exactly sure what the s'mores actually were, but nevertheless, good excuse to play with a flamethrower.
Yeah, I remember when he came out with that, Elon basically said, "Hey, I'm making something, but I can't call it a flamethrower, so I'm calling this not a flamethrower." And then he proceeds to make a video of flamethrowing. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, imagine what it took to try and get that through customs into Ireland.
Oh my gosh.
That was a hell of a process.
Wow. So what do you think the next thing that you suspect might be launched next for enterprise after GeoSeal? What's the next one that's closest to being implemented?
um, I'd rather not talk about future products or plans at this point. We have
Fair enough.
we have achieved.
I've seen some of the stuff you guys get if you okay, I see why now actually. So yeah, I get it.
We do have things that we're building for particular industries that require custom silicon. Some of it is absolutely mind blowing in terms of what it will do and how it will interact with Kaspa. And it's really cool. So we have a couple of technology partnerships with some chip making companies, and we've made some specific test cases where we've embedded custom silicon directly into industrial process lines for for effectively using Kaspa as a safe, secure network to prove that something happened at a particular point in time. That's important for third-party verification. So take from that what you will. So if you want to,
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking in terms of history textbooks in the future. I mean, I'm just thinking all sorts of things. Right? Did this event happen? Did this event happen? I mean, it could go in so many directions. There's so many use cases for that.
yeah, on last night's Crypto Banter show, and again, I would really recommend having a look at it. We spoke for at length about this. I have an old ledger in my possession that dates back to the I think back it dates back to 1912 or 1919, but it's an actual physical ledger that recorded related to energy. We have another dating back even further, which is payroll information for a gas business that's over 120 years old, and those are physical ledgers, and blockchain is just a digital ledger. So I suppose one of the questions is, um, what blockchains do you think are going to be around in 120 years from now that will still have payroll information written and embedded in them, that will have asset ownership and purchases recorded on them 120 years from now?
That's amazing and fascinating. Um, I want to see again offer anyone else who may want to come up. 16-bit, Burke, Bishop, Odie, Jason. If any of you guys want to jump on, Conviction, Brock. You guys are welcome to request. We, of course, would love to hear from you. As much as I love going back and forth with Rory, I also don't want people to feel excluded or think that I'm dominating this space. So you are more than welcome to pop up and get involved. So I just want to share.
Get up here. Do it.
Yeah.
By the way,
I went ahead and posted the interview that you did yesterday on the Blockchain Banter on YouTube. So it's in the comments and it's up on the Jumbotron for people to check it out. I haven't checked it out. I definitely will.
fantastic.
I'm
No,
definitely going to listen. I want to hear it. I want to know all the details.
it's well worth listening to. But
I will.
what's quite interesting is the GitHub for VProgs was the work in progress for that was published today, and that's extremely interesting and extremely helpful.
Yeah, VProgs is now on
So
repo.
that
Yeah,
I think
that's
is
amazing.
it's a great piece of news. And there was also some interesting posts I saw today that we were tagged on, which is how can the community communicate and market better using the community's own resources, outside of crypto Twitter, to just bring more attention to Kaspa. And I think that's a great idea. Someone said we could do it on an X space, but I think it might be better to start off with. Perhaps just via some Zoom calls with ideas, and then bring them into the open for effectively, let's use the community to act as an adversarial red team, and you know see what the results of the initial brainstorming amongst maybe 10 or 15 people from within the community.
Yeah, and branching out to other social networks, working on
Yeah.
networking with people who have a lot of followers, that sort of thing. And also, there's new bridges I just kind of want to mention. Cascat, um, Cascade, I think it is. They announced something with Mexi. They're going to be doing some DeFi. Um, let's see, Swap to a cat bridge is something that I heard about today as well. Um, there's things happening that are really good. I love seeing the bridging. I love seeing people working together, collaborating. Because one of the things that I've heard that's been very discouraging for developers coming into the Caspa space is that there's a lot of people who hold their cards really close to their chest, and a lot of information isn't shared, which can be discouraging to new Caspa developers. And it's really encouraging when people are collaborating and reaching across and saying, hey, here's some information I think you can find useful. So I would encourage collaboration and innovation, creativity, all of that just goes hand in hand as builders to build each other up. Because my understanding is that in other communities, such as Ethereum, people are really excited when they hear about people's new ideas and they say, hey, let me see, here's what you can do, try this. But here in Caspa, there's more of a competitiveness rather than a shared collaborative attitude. So I'm hoping that uh, by me even bringing this up, this could maybe help shift that and influence that a little bit to make it more open to developers. I wouldn't say working together, but being open to the idea of sharing knowledge when it can be shared, right? Reaching across when it is something that can be done. Obviously, with intellectual property, that's a different scenario. But if it's something that can be shared, it can really help boost the morale of developers for Kaspa. And that's what I would encourage for everyone listening.
A lot of the folks listening are really concerned about um, price and everything else. Now, I'm not going to comment on price action or anything like that, but one of the things that I discussed last night at length is if you think as Caspa as a very unique piece of global infrastructure moving towards the ultimate goal of being a global decentralized, real-time decentralization network. Um, that's a very, very big story in its own right. It's a very significant piece of global infrastructure that has huge impact on the world. And it really tends to bother me when we see all of these financial institutions who want to dip their toe in the water right now in terms of um, you know CBDCs or stable coins and all of that sort of stuff, and they're kind of defaulting onto Ethereum and things like that. Um, they're going to realize the scale and the scaling issues and the gas problems and the fact that the EVM ecosystem continually has these weird updates over time. It's not stable. And what business likes is it likes stability.
Hmm.
Yeah, I want to speak to the energy of, we're talking about energy and how the infrastructure in place obviously isn't isn't ideal, and thinking about what Caspa does as a technology, right? Like it really is about a shift to an abundant mindset, right? So I know, as someone who's been a quarterback, a leader, business entrepreneur, yeah, there's some things, like that are NDAs you can't share, things like that. But I just encourage people within the community, like Kara's talking about, when you're willing to just help the person next to you, it creates even more of an abundance, right? Like most of the news, most of the shit that we see, and even inherently, human instinct is like to be very protective of information and sharing knowledge. I've experienced, yeah, we have to continue to, like, the mindset of abundance is super important with this, because we're just scratching the surface with what this technology is going to do, and people don't even know yet.
Yeah,
Again, Bitcoin is the only one really being talked about as a digital commodity, and it's like, okay, how about this over here, which is actually going to do all this shit that Sailor says is going to be done on Bitcoin? It's like, no, if there's only going to be one, it's going to be Caspa. It's not going to be that one. um you know
yeah. And you mentioned abundance there, and that's a great idea, that an awful lot of people when they meditate, they have this meditation idea of abundance. But one of the interesting things about that is, when many people focus together, that sort of a field amplifies. And if we translate that into Caspa and the Caspa community, that's basically open sourcing, compounding, community coordination, aligned narratives, and shared narratives. And I suppose one of the things is a little bit of a fragmentation and maybe occasionally a misunderstanding as to what Caspa is and what the end game vision actually is. That Jonathan has and the core team have, and I'm not sure if that's necessarily being fully communicated correctly or understood by the community. So, Casper Core are building great tools, but the Casper community is ultimately what turns it into infrastructure. And the real power of the Casper community isn't any single mind. It's all about coordinated contribution where everybody is also focus together on what the end game actually is. And the end game isn't, by the end of the year, those who hold Kaspa, they're going to have X return. If you look at it through a slightly different lens, um, and maybe over a slightly longer time scale, we're building basically a new form of internet, and a true internet of value and truth that just all happens to be perfectly sequenced and operates at the speed of light.
Yeah, there's something. Oh, go ahead, Juan.
No, I was gonna, reiterate there. It's just again hitting home on what happens because you mentioned. I'm gonna take it a little bit because I've shared, with my spiritual and like my yoga practice, right? And what you find when you really go within yourself and realize like the capabilities that we have as humans, a lot of times there's all this noise on the outside that kind of keeps you confined to thinking like there's a scarcity amount of things out there or everything's maybe beyond you, but everything is literally within us. And I do compare Caspa and the way it's being built as this brand new, more of a representation of who we are energetically and how we can expand with truth, right? So speaking on the truth layer and what that does for us. So again, going back to the energy of this and what it is, I personally haven't met Jonathan and haven't spoken with Michael, but I'd love to start talking to those guys and get in their heads because we do need to communicate this more. It's just like we're we're building something. They're obviously building something so beautiful. And I've said this several times on the show. It does take each and every single one of us to bring your gifts to this, right? Like each and every single one of you have a gift. So whatever you can give, for me, it's talking on the show here and on Mondays with Bishop, and if I'm invited to a podcast, speaking on it, and if it doesn't go well, whatever, communicating the truth about it. So yeah, each and every one of us has something to bring in. Like there's just I just see an abundance and an expansion beyond what I can even conceive right now. And Cass was the perfect
And
place to be for that. That's where I go with it. You should this morning in my freaking there's times in some of these yoga sessions where like the entire room is connected and you realize like, oh shit, we're literally creating this energy of abundance within the classroom, and I just see Casper the same way. When you really resonate and try to understand what it is at an energetic level and what it's doing.
I suppose it goes back, for those people who are very familiar with meditation. If you establish vague goals, you're going to create vague outcomes. So it's very important that there is an emotional authenticity around Caspa as well. So you can't just hype something. You have to be real about the challenges that are there. And then what you'll find out is that authenticity beats performance every time, and the global community generally can feel what's real. And I spoke yesterday to the whole idea of present tense embodiment, and the future is built in the present tense. And that's quite important.
Yeah,
I want to add to that if I can, just real quick. The positive vibe here, I'm loving so much, but it also makes me want to speak up for this other side that I hope they're listening. The people who are quick to assume that projects that think outside the box are scams. I've seen this time and time again with developers facing trolls who do this when they think outside the box And if you are listening here in the room, or if you're listening on a recording and you're here and you tend to do that, I would encourage you to meditate on abundance. Meditate on the energy of giving people the benefit of a doubt. Right? People, I'm not saying go ahead and trust everybody, but give people the benefit of a doubt until proven otherwise. There's people who think outside the box that are creating things we've never seen before. And sometimes the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, that must be a scam because that's utility and not a meme. Or that's doing something that I can't see with my own eyes and it's hidden, so therefore it must not be real. The whole thing about Kaspa is to be able to show what's never been done. So let's give people a chance to do that and open your heart to this idea, open your mind to the idea of something bigger and root people on. Now, if someone's really doing something nefarious, that's different. Call people out. But if you feel in your gut that something could be good, give it a shot because having that abundant energy and having that belief system, not only is it good for yourself and those around you, but it's good for the ecosystem. It's good for inviting more developers in because they see that the environment is fertile for encouragement and for bringing new life into the project in new ways. Juan, I see that you were trying to speak too, so you can go ahead.
No, that was beautiful. That's no, that was great. So yeah, no, we're saying we're saying how important this is, and okay, the thing is where we see the trolls and the negativity and all that is mostly online. I've been to some of these CASPA events. I was in Berlin, obviously, and in London. And one of the things that really resonates when meeting CASPA people is like I think a lot of us are very like-minded and in that abundant type of mindset. It's just online we get the retail that wants things right now, and they're sprinkled out throughout there. But I think as long as we continue to embody the core principles of how we see this, it's going to play out the way it plays out. And then to speak to what Rory talked to that really resonated is like, yeah, everything in the future is out there, but it's we got to be right here, right now. Right here, right now is where you create everything. And when you're in appreciation of this moment and what's possible in this moment, then the abundance and what could be built in the future, that's where that it'll manifest in itself, but from being right here, right now. So it literally, I wake up every day. It's like, what can I do? What can I do today? What can I do today to get the most out of today? And I talk about it with, like I love the relationship I have. I see Bishop down there. If you want to come up, and well, I know you're at home, so some you say your voice resonates, so I don't think you can come up. But I love Bishop. Always brings me to like, well, what does that look like, and what do we need to do? And I think it's great to definitely think about that and where it can go. But all of that's created from right here, right now. So the more and more you can focus on this moment and what you can do in this moment, you'll surprise yourself. You'll definitely surprise yourself. So just encourage.
And I think what will happen is that if people take that mindset, you'll end up collapsing the buffer zone. So there's this idea, where there's a buffer zone where outcomes do take time, and the goal is compressing that delay. So if you think of the Caspa's technical ethos of speed, efficiency, scaling the system, it's about compressing latency. Um, but in real life, and one can be fast, but if the people layer is slow, the whole thing kind of feels slow. And I suppose one of the things that we try to embody within KI, is about collapsing the gap between this tech is powerful and people can actually use it. But I know I'm speaking in metaphors, um, but I think that's quite important. And It isn't about wishing. It's about being an active co-creator and not a passive waiter. So I'm just going to hold on to everything. I'm just waiting. But if you can be an active co-creator in the space, then it isn't about wishing. It's about participating and focusing, and practicing, and that then helps. This is really where it's golden for Kaspa, because it supports an open source culture. It's very helpful if people, if they have an old computer sitting around, it's not that difficult to run a node, or get involved in mining. Um, with AI and vibe coding and everything else, you can contribute to coding, but you can also contribute to content and education, and be actively involved in community initiatives. And I suppose one of the things that I really like about the Kaspa community generally is and the energy that I resonate with within Kaspa is, don't just hope, build. And the core team have been very consistent in building. And I'd like to think within KAI over the last 18 months, we've been building a lot of things in terms of between market frameworks and market design, where we can actually slot Caspa in and using it, um, to lots of other things. And I think there's a lot of people who can actually help change the ecosystem, and those people aren't the ones that are waiting for someday. They're actually in their own way co-creating it. And even by just participating in this X space, you're contributing to co-creating the overall community. And by reposting and retweeting and coming up with unique insights and content, you're part of creating this powerful new tool.
Yeah, and literally love the concept of like collapsing it into, right, like when you're present and you're contributing in whichever we can, like you said, people even being in this space, or you learning something new and or communicating with it, or for me it's like I put one of my NFL buddies on a wallet the other day, and it opened up this whole new portal. It's like, do I have enough time to reach everybody that he asked me to reach out to? It literally time is an illusion and all that. It literally, when you're busy involving yourself and giving your time, then it's like, oh shit, 6 months went by, a year went by. It's pretty beautiful how it happens. So, on top of participating in the space and listening and divulging in the information, give it a shot with something. Like I said, everybody has something to offer.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. And to expand on that, tech isn't just code. It's lots of layers, and I'm not talking about L1s and L2s. It's about the protocol. It's about tools. It's about apps, but it's also about story and culture. And I think if one layer is weak, then adoption leaks. Um, and I think, you know, from our perspective in KI, I think we feel like we're strengthening some of these middle layers and the human interface between the protocol and the world from a business perspective. And that's quite important. But the other idea is that, again, everybody who's listening here has an emotional connection to Caspa, and emotion always acts as an accelerant, one way or another. You'll know that if you've ever had a fight with your with a loved one or a spouse, emotion tends to move things faster than dry intention. So Emotion is why communities form and persist, because there's a sense of purpose and belonging, and we're building something that matters. And people don't rally around hash rates and diagrams; they rally around meaning. And I think what Kaspa does is, or what the Kaspa community can do is, they can assist in translating the tech into a felt purpose, and that then acts as rocket fuel for everybody.
I just put your. I love that. So what did you say? I wrote it down as soon as you said it. If one layer leaks, I'm sorry. If one layer is weak, adoption leaks. So I just quote. I love that. So I just quoted it and put it in the comments. It's a great quote.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, tech isn't code. It's layers, protocols, apps, tools, story, and culture. And if one of those layers is weak, then
Mm,
adoption leaks.
love it. We got 16-bit up here. Welcome, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the kind of theme of the conversation right now. I really love the fact that all of you seem to be on the same page, because I've been seeing a lot of posts and general frustrations in the community regarding, I guess, marketing in general. I read a post earlier where somebody was, I guess, venting their frustrations about Caspa not having a coordinated marketing team. And, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about decentralization, is that we don't have, a centralized marketing team. I think it's kind of core to the ethos of what's being built here. Everybody, like, Rory kind of touched on what I was going to say, but I think everybody really has their own skill set to bring to the community. And I think that's going to be a much more robust way of promoting Caspa than just having some centralized marketing team could ever bring to the table. So yeah, I just wanted to say that really quickly, and I love the conversation, because I couldn't disagree more with anybody that has the idea of having a very centralized marketing team. I don't personally think that's going to do much for the project.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it hits home when you can bring yourself authentically to it, right? So it's been said, but when you just reiterated it, like there's not gonna be a centralized marketing team together and like come up with some ideas. But at the end of the day, people have to you have to come to this with authenticity, because authenticity moves the room. Authenticity is where it's at. I can tell you that's the reason I've been able to, when I'm sitting next to somebody on an air, I mean, it comes up every single time I have a conversation and somebody goes, So what are you up to? What do you do?" It happened yesterday during the national championship game on Monday. I put my buddy on, and I have a ton of follow up calls, like more people that want to learn about Caspa and hear about Caspa. So yeah, that's authenticity is the way to go, and we can definitely share ideas on some of the stuff that's working, no doubt. So appreciate that 16-bit.
Yeah, for sure, man. It can be something as small as, like Rory said, just running a node, or something as simple as just getting up here and speaking your opinion. It's really just participation and building. My thing lately is just trying to get people to download Cassia instead of using things like Telegram. Let's use this, use the tools that are being built on Caspa. There's lots of things being built out there, and a lot of them really aren't getting a lot of engagement from the community. Everybody seems to just kind of want the number to go up, and that's really not what this is about. We're supposed to be using this coin. We're supposed to be using this to get away from some of these systems that are in place that really aren't benefiting everybody. There's a beautiful decentralized network that we can be using, and I feel a lot of people really aren't using it.
I suppose if you want to keep on this esoteric type theme, you can think of Caspa having three anchors: the root, the heart, and the crown. So I suppose this is just a different way of reframing it. There's three anchors for a healthy crypto ecosystem, and using these anchors, just to try and reframe it. The root equals the fundamentals, which is security, integrity, and resilience, and that's provided by the protocol itself. Then there's the heart, which is the values and of the community, which is the ethics, the collaboration, and long-term thinking. And long-term thinking, I think, is a very important part for people to deal with. And I'll talk about long-term thinking a little bit more in a moment. Then there's the crown. So that's vision and innovation, and that deals with what is possible. Um, you know what the community can deliver in terms of ambition and imagination. And I hope people can take something like what we announced yesterday, like GeoSeal, and add their imagination to it, and think like Cara did today. She thought about it, she used her imagination, and was able to come up with things we and applications we didn't even think about for it. So I think the community needs to stay a little bit grounded, understand that the fundamentals are there, but if the community can share the values and the vision of Caspa with everybody else, then I think uh, we can stay aligned with those three anchors, root, heart, and crown, and how I've described them. And that means if you can keep those three anchors aligned, the community isn't going to get shaken by noise, and that's important. And then I suppose again, people are worried about the price, and I know a lot of people may have invested or have over invested, but I think you need to install if you really believe in Casper, you need to sort of self-install a baseline of calm certainty rather than fear, and go to a default frequency of expected abundance because of what's being built and the people who are building it, like Michael and Jonathan and Ori and Val and all of the other people, coder stuff, all of these great guys, and the guys in my team, and all of the 200 participants in the Caspathon, because there's what I've noticed in crypto, baseline states tend to be contagious, where if something if you don't have this sort of calm certainty, then panic spreads very quickly, cynicism spreads. But at the same time, if you have this calm certainty and this cause of the actors that are out there and that are trying to build, you will end up with some degree of grounded optimism because of that builder focus. So my default when it comes to Caspa is I'm very calm about Caspa. I'm always curious about who's doing what, who's building what, and I'm not frantic. I'm not chasing. Um, I'm just continuing with our focus and our mission, and will continue to do so. And I think, the ecosystem you get is the emotional baseline that you tolerate.
The ecosystem that you get is the emotional tolerance. Wow.
Just full of quotables tonight.
Yeah. You're dropping them, Rory. And I love how you mentioned the three. So you said the root, the crown, and the heart. There's 7 chakras. Those are 3 of the 7. And yeah, those are 3 of the most important too. So
Well, I couldn't think of analogies for the other for the
Just
other.
off the top of the head, yeah.
hey, listen, if you align those three and understand that the root, right, our base, like your base and being connected and grounded, like you're right here, right now. The heart, it entails all of them, right? So there's also the sacral and the solar plexus are the other ones, and then the third eye are the only other ones that are there. But they're all important, but those 3 are definitely are ones that are connected to obviously the others as well. So again, it just ties back into the whole theme of the energy that you're bringing to it, and staying grounded, rooted, and again the possibilities, right? Like how you mentioned it, like that, that's it's endless. So what can come of it when you're leading from there?
Yeah, and yeah, something that I've said to my team is, you know, because we're thinking about the future, and because I've come from generational legacies involved in the energy sector. Um, I've often said to our team and our wider team is, when we're building, let's build what we'd be proud for new people to inherit in the future.
I'm gonna clip all of this up because you're dropping way too many amazing one-liners, and this is gonna get. I clipped you up when you were on the other blockchain banner. And then there was a bunch of gold from last week, by the way, from everybody who came on the panel. So I'm gonna put that on myself. I'm gonna put myself hold myself accountable to this to definitely
Yeah,
make sure that I
make
do
sure you overlay all of these bomb quotes
that.
over the video footage of him opening up the 100-year-old book. I don't know how many of you guys actually saw that blockchain banner video. I think it was from last night.
Yeah, no, we haven't
He's
seen it. We haven't seen it. We posted it here.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah. Just overlay it over this. It's like a Lord of the Rings book. It looks like it's like 200 pounds, and
that's the
it's like
ledger.
shooting out dust and cracking, and it's just really amazing to watch. I can only imagine how
Okay, cool.
fragile this book is.
All right, hold me to it. I'm gonna clip up some of the stuff that Rory's saying here. Everybody's dropping bombs, but even last week there was so much gold, and I even wrote it down and I didn't get to it. So there was so much. We got to start clipping some of this stuff and putting it out and just spreading it. So yeah, thanks for that. I see Bishop's up here now. What up, Bishop?
What's up, guys? I am absolutely loving this conversation. I am, for those who haven't quite seen, I'm a Kaspa KII stan. Like everything that comes out, thank I thank you guys that you're gonna put my kid through college. Like you're and Rory, this is the first time I've had an actual chance to talk to you, so I want to thank you for what you're building. And the fact that it's not for retail, I think actually makes me more excited because the Caspa that you're gonna need, and I've done this as a thought experiment. The Caspa that you're gonna need to create this ecosystem, you're always gonna need. So you're always gonna be invested in being in the ecosystem. So you're not just building away from it. You have to build on it. And I'm so excited about how enthused that you are with Caspa that I have confidence in what you're building. I don't know you. I haven't even researched much of what even DII is about, but I trust your vision because of how knowledgeable you are and the way you explain these things. And the fact that And honestly, I believe you can make that ecosystem work. I was listening to the whole conversation last week between you and Odie, and I'm getting a kind of a different take on what the ecosystem was at that time. And I'm just like, you know what? This makes sense. It's a need that needs to be filled. And this fucking guy knows how to fill it. And that makes me excited because you literally have zero interest in talking about price, and you specifically go after the tech and how this tech can be used. And that's so exciting because there's zero other cryptocurrencies that talk this way. And it's so fucking cool. So thank you, Rory, for everything you're doing.
Oh, thanks. That really means a lot.
And yeah, the other thing that made me want to jump on, and I appreciate you guys always shouting me out. Much love. 16-bit had mentioned basically living on the Kaspa standard, being live on the Kaspa standard for what they do. Quick shout out and plug for Mondays live on the Kaspa standard with myself and Juan. But that's something that Juan and I talked about was, integrating that with what we do, because the idea of living on the Kaspa standard, we're always live on VVOR. Cara always posts the VVOR link for this episode. Being able to generate at least our ecosystem within Kaspa is great. But part of what Juan and I just did is about branching out to these other spaces as well, right? Like we have to touch YouTube, we have to touch Twitter because there's more people there. But I think as much as us, I don't want to say maxis, but as much as us believers are in Kaspa, I think the bulk of us are willing to wait for these things to flourish before it is, why isn't it happening now? Why isn't it happening now? Those people who are begging for it to happen now, I think it's just because they want the price to run up. The price is going to go when it goes. And when it does, I don't think it's going to come back down. It's going to keep reestablishing these baselines with how well the tech is being used. So yeah, that'll take place with Cassia messaging. But when Kaspa KI gets their thing done, I mean, the fact that I believe you said, Rory, what you want to accomplish can't take place on 10 blocks per second, right? You guys need 100 blocks per second. And
10 BPS works really well. 100 BPS works a hell of a lot more. But we've uncovered legacy industrial systems that you guys use every single day. That were built in the 80s and 90s and haven't been updated since, and they're struggling and ripping apart at the seams. And the global interconnection for international telecoms companies for roaming and SMS messaging and just call interconnects is represents 8 billion a year in fraud. But if you were to take all of that transactional volume for all of those calls and values that were being made, you couldn't really do it in real time. You could do it with roll ups and batching and everything else, but that alone would take a lot of block space on Caspa, but it would solve an $8 billion a year fraud, and that's before you actually get into the value of the settlements and everything else. That's just one example. But interesting. Last night we spoke about satellites and you know the satellite world is incredible. So Blue Origin today announced they're going to put up several thousand new satellites that will have the ability to have an asymmetrical link of 6 terabytes per second of data communications. So that's really important. And they'll have direct, ultra high speed, low latency links to AWS data centers. That's really important going forward for lots and lots of business applications. but even more interesting is the United Nations International Telecom Union, who you have to get your license from if you want to launch a satellite. They approved 97,500 new communication satellites for China. So that means that the digital economy is fast becoming a space-based economy. And whilst Kaspa is grounded, on Earth, and if we move to digital currencies and everything else, Terezi from our team pointed out last night. Well, if there was, because of all the new data centers, for example, coming on stream, what if there was a widespread blackout in a city or a country level? Your digital currency isn't worth. Um, and the same with recording transactions and everything else. So what happens in those situations? And that's why the space and satellite economy is going to become so important. But just to contrast the 97,000 satellites that China's just been given permission to launch, Starlink Starlink currently represents about 10,000 satellites. So you're looking at a 10x number of low Earth orbiting and medium Earth orbiting satellites just coming from China. So if we want to build a global real-time decentralized network, the ultimate global sequencing network, we also have to look to space and look at bringing some of the infrastructure into space and testing it and making sure that it works. And then Casper will be one of the ultimate global utility systems. I don't see anybody else out there in terms of any other blockchains or anything else looking to bring their protocol into space for global network resilience, but also fail safes. But the interesting thing is, because of laser technology, the lasers, sorry, that's the wrong term. Optical technology, optical communications in space work faster in the vacuum of space than they do on Earth, because when you put them through fiber optics, you're not exactly getting light speed, you're getting 2/3 of light speed. So I think I posted a little while ago that if you take a packet of data and it has to travel right around the world and through all the different interconnects. Kaspa has already generated several blocks, particularly if we go to 100 blocks per second. So it's something to think about, that there is a long term, a very very strong long term. So if you think about how strategically wise it was for Jeff Bezos to build AWS when he effectively was still just selling books. This is just as strategic for Kaspa, and Dagnite is a great enabler of this as well. In terms of the technology, that it's something that I suppose we need to better communicate this to the community as to the importance of it.
From what you're working on, and I don't know if this is quantifiable for you, but you seem like you could, so I don't want to undervalue here. Of what you are working on, how many of these blocks per second do you anticipate taking up?
We haven't actually done the calculation.
Because it sounds like you know a way to use all of them, or at least you can find the UK use case for all of them, and that's pretty exciting. Again, for me, because that strengthens the networks. I know you're not going to use them all because you're not fixing the international calling tomorrow. or if that's even a project that you would undertake. But based on everything you're explaining, would you anticipate the need for more than 100 blocks per second at some point, or maybe even a Kaspa 2.0?
I don't think either is necessary. I think I think with roll ups and everything else, you don't need to have huge amounts of data stored on chain. It's not necessary. It's you don't need to bloat the blocks unnecessarily. What you need to actually prove on chain is actually in terms of data is actually quite small. Any big blocks of data, you shouldn't really be storing them on the blockchain.
No, that's awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
These stories are so powerful. You know, people could ask for a marketing team, but at the end of the day, the stories that we have, the felt purpose, as Rory said, um, the emotional push, the emotional drive is really what grabs people's attention. Um, this is one reason why perfume ads, when you're trying to sell a scent, have you ever seen perfume ads on TV? They can't sell what it smells like because we can't smell it. So they sell us the emotion of a perfume. And that's what sells the perfume. And that's kind of what happens when we look at the narrative of Caspa and our voices and how we use it. So, for instance, I forget, I think it was 16-bit or was it Bishop? I think it was 16-bit who said that you're trying to get people to use Cassia or K Social. Hey, use this, or it's not going to be used. Uh, that's one way to bring attention to something is the word of mouth aspect. But the thing that's going to really have it be used is when people see why it's necessary. And that's going to be the emotional drive. And that usually comes from agitation or frustration, honestly. Because when someone gets banned, or if X goes down, or if there are communication issues or a need to verify that a person is who they are, that's where having that other system can come in as a solution, which solves the problem, which changes the emotion from frustration to elation or satisfaction or relief. And those types of emotions can drive a person to feel enthusiastic about sharing that with others, which is usually how word of mouth happens. So if someone goes to a restaurant and they have a good experience, it's powerful and they want to share that. And if someone has a bad experience, it can actually have 10 times the impact, which is one reason why I felt compelled to kind of squash the scam narrative, because those types of comments can be very powerful, even if they're inaccurate, and it can sway people on the emotion that's in it, even if there's no truth behind it. And that being said, just having our own truths, our own authentic experiences to how each of us uses or thinks about, researches, develops, builds, owns, thinks about Caspa. We all have our unique perspective, and some of us are more enthusiastic than others. And those of us who have been around and kind of see all that's in the works, it definitely creates that baseline of expectation of abundance. We see what's going to happen. This is why we're not freaking out over the price or staring at the charts or saying, "Hey, is it at 8 cents yet? Is it at 20 cents yet? Is it at $1?" It'll happen eventually. The price will inevitably move forward as adoption happens. But part of the beauty of being here early is seeing how adoption happens. We see it every single day. Someone on Twitter, or X as we call it, will come in and say, hey, I am now converted. I just sold X coin and converted it to Kaspa. I'm a new one. And then a whole bunch of people from the Kaspa community say, hey, welcome, fam. Great to have you here, fam. And it's just one after another. And that's how it's done. It's the grassroots way. It's onboarding people one person at a time. Sure, there will be a time when it won't necessarily feel as if it's one at a time. It'll be one business at a time, one enterprise at a time, one group at a time, right? But the beauty of doing it one at a time is we're still a cozy community, right? And it's nice to see that. I think it's beautiful, and I love being a part of it.
I think what was really interesting is there's some photographs taken from the Tesla factory, and they've changed the Tesla mission statement, and that is to, irrespective of what you think of Elon Musk, um, the Tesla mission is now accelerating the world's transition to sustainable abundance. And that's something that definitely resonated with me when I saw that picture today. I think that's very important, because there is when it comes to, if you consider energy equals money, there's vast amounts of untapped energy on the planet, and the very core aspect of Caspa is that it turns energy into money. And that's something that's quite important. But there is an abundance of energy on the planet.
Yeah.
So if we can make Caspa then facilitating, let's call it the internet and the transactions of life, in terms of real-time decentralization with censorship resistance and everything else. I think the world has the ability to transition to sustainable abundance, and CASPA is one of the layers that can actually facilitate that.
God, it sounds like Caspa is the perfect layer to sustain that, right? If energy is money, and I love that quote from, or that new mission statement, that resonates heavily, especially speaking on this whole abundance, because when you really think about the way most of the world probably operates, right? The fiat world, and what that system has perpetuated throughout the world is this scarcity of money. Like, there isn't enough. I mean, speaking for myself and the way my culture is, and just my family, and how it's, there isn't ever enough. That was the energy that I had to grow up with, and I had to be shown a completely different way. So I just think that ties into what everybody's sharing up here on the panel. Bishop coming up, appreciate you, brother, and 16-bit, and then Kara putting it together there with like, hey, looking at what this is and how you can share your story, coming from a sales and marketing background. Like, my first sales job, I've shared it before, was selling Cutco knives. And to me, it wasn't even about the knives. It was like, I got a chance to make a connection, and I had this really good product that, yeah, worked really well, but it was more about the connection, and like being vulnerable with the customers, and then knowing that I had a product that was gonna work, right? There, and we have the same thing here with Casper, right? You study it enough, you know what it is. You know that. I mean, just use it, right? Just send a Casper to somebody on the peer to peer side, and then we hear what the KI is doing, and just feeling Rory's energy and him coming up, and again staying super late. I thought you had an appointment. I hope you didn't miss it. But just feel this energy, and then like bring that to whatever conversation you're having. And I do think it's important that you meet people where they're at first, right? Like, I think that's one of the huge mistakes that people do when they're trying to explain something. They sit there and try to just like throw information out, and it's a lot to take in the beginning, right? You gotta realize you weren't always there. We've all dove into the first step in I learned this in sales, right? The first step in making a connection and eventually leading to a sale is building that rapport initially, and that's asking questions. Hey, where are you at? What do you understand about money? Go into that. That's really how all my conversations start. And I make it about them, and then eventually it's like, okay, now tell me about you and what you got going on, and then Caspa comes up organically. So it's definitely a learned skill. This isn't something that I necessarily think I was born with. And it's just exciting. It's exciting the way you all are talking about it and knowing we're right here, right now, and what's possible with this beautiful foundational settlement layer that is literally going to sequence the world and create abundance beyond anything that we can think of right now.
And that's where it creates a total different narrative and contradiction to Bitcoin. The whole Bitcoin maxi sailor mindset is something that you must hold Bitcoin. You must hold Bitcoin and hodl it and hold it and hoard it. But money isn't a thing that you just hold. And if we think of or we think of Bitcoin in the first instance as money, um, money it's a current, i.e., currency that must move. And for me, stagnation creates dysfunction, and that's one of the fundamental problems with Bitcoin. Is you will end up with this stagnation because of this sailor mentality of holding on to everything. And then when you translate it into Caspa, which is the evolution of Bitcoin, it isn't just faster blocks. I suppose it's an attempt to restore the natural flow that money is a current that must move, and Caspa is an attempt to restore that natural flow at the ledger level. And I suppose for me, money isn't a thing; it's a flow. So every civilization s- has I suppose lived or died by how well value flows through its systems. When the flow is smooth, ecosystems thrive. When the flow is blocked or is slow, everything downstream suffers. And I suppose that's one of the things that I really like about Caspa is that it's a ledger designed around flow and not artificial bottlenecks.
Money is a flow. Oh my God, that hits me really, really hard. Because it's like, yeah, I don't, I'm not attached to things or stuff, Rory. It's like I've been able to experience an abundance in life and been super blessed. I'm sure you can relate. And it's not this. It's not about like the obviously people sometimes look at it like this thing, and it isn't. It's this, how can you flow in your life? And yeah, it's not meant to just sit there and hoard it, and you're meant to use it. Like, this is a form of exchange of energy that we're giving to each other, an energy exchange. Kara says that at the end when she talks about our beneath the Caspa.cas and if people want to donate, but it really is that. It's like, it's not about holding this stuff. It's how can we flow with it. I love that.
Yeah, and this is why Sailor really pisses me off.
Preach, preach. I
He
want to hear.
he,
I want to hear why he pisses you off. Let's go.
him and Garlinghouse, I think, are the two biggest beeps in the in the world because systems don't respond to what we say we want. They respond to the signals we broadcast, and just look at the signals that they're broadcasting. Bitcoin, there's no second best. That's, we all know what that is. Um, you know, you can't have too much Bitcoin. Don't sell your Bitcoin. But to me, that signals fear. To me, that's fear more
Yeah.
than anything else
So-
speaking. And to me, the Bitcoin maxis and the people like Sailor and Garlinghouse, they're communities that are dominated by fear, because it doesn't matter how good the tech is, the problem is the flow slows. And then this fear, um, and I suppose resentment to newer, better things creates latency, not just emotionally, but structurally. And healthy networks, of which Bitcoin is not a
Mm.
healthy network, it requires this psychological flow just as much as the technological throughput.
I've been told have fun.
And that,
I was gonna say I've been told have fun staying poor, and I'm like nothing about my life is poor, like nothing. It's pretty ridiculous some of these memes that, and yeah, with me this the thing with Sailor that it's just like he's obviously a very intelligent guy, but I think he's just playing the game of cronyism. It's like this is a very wealthy man that cannot relate to most people is what I feel like. But he's very intelligent on how he manipulates these words and specifically the memes and what he's done to lead the bots. Like those are some non-thinking robots that just say all the things that he puts out. So
Yeah, taking the tinfoil hat from Kara here, I really feel like Sailor's not to be trusted. I really feel like it's a narrative that's being built for the direct destruction of Bitcoin. You know, I come from a Bitcoin background just like most of us. I love Bitcoin for what it stands for, but ultimately I think it's being destroyed from within, and I think Sailor has been put as a figurehead for this narrative, for that, just for the destruction. Personally, you know, again, my whole tinfoil hat theory, but I really think it's being done on purpose.
yeah, so it's talking about flow, like the root, heart, crown, all that. I mean, I was invited into like this spiritual Bitcoin type of group thing, and I was like, I was holding some Caspa, and I mentioned Caspa, and I got all that. I got like, I'm like, really, these are like people that are supposed to be spiritually aligned and energy and just completely blocked and cut off. We don't mention here the only money, the only real money is Bitcoin. I'm like, who, what? You don't tell me. And what I noticed is most of these people are still, and they call themselves plebs, and they're still trying to get rich. So it's like that's not where I was when I came into this, right? It's like I didn't.
It's never what that's never what Bitcoin was about.
Exactly, bro.
It was never meant to be
Exactly,
getting
brother.
people rich.
Literally, when I after the Bitcoin Caspa debate, it's like I was invited into a couple Bitcoin groups. I had Bitcoin buddies, and like I excused myself from the group, but I was invited into these groups, and I would mention Caspa, and obviously would get shit on. I'm like, no, it would. And again, going back to energy and flow, the things that Rory's brought up here, it's just I protect that at all costs. Like I'm like no one's ever gonna tell me what I can or can't say or how I can or can't say it. Never. So that was really easy to walk away from, and then experience behind Caspa. It was important to me to go to Berlin and meet people in person. That just it made it hit home even further. And then obviously, running these spaces and having these conversations with you all. So yeah,
Well, speaking of having foreign conversations outside of the Caspa community, I saw that you had some sort of negative interaction with somebody on YouTube. You care to elaborate? I didn't really kind of get the gist of what happened there.
yeah, I explained it I mean, I don't think there was that many people on when I was talking about it in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I could get a little bit into that. Well, one, we were invited onto a podcast, so I was tagged to go on there, and I noticed there was a couple people on Caspa Hub, Caspa Teacher, I think were there, and Syaf, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, basically, he, after one, he deleted the conversation, which I thought was really, really low of him to do. And then him coming on after deleting it and then posting a post and then saying that
we basically called ourselves what we resonated with the Bitcoin maxis and the Kaspa maxis, and that wasn't even close to how I interpreted the conversation. But it kind of during the conversation, it did not. I didn't sense that he was kind of upset with how, and obviously the video that he shared. So the guy is trying to get all these 17 coins that he's in love with. That's what he told us. He's got 17 coins that he's in love with, and he's trying to develop a fund to essentially raise money and decouple from Bitcoin, right? So one of the things that he talked about during the show was like, oh, we don't talk negatively about other coins. We don't talk shit. We don't do any of that. But then during the podcast, he brought up he said Bitcoin is a shit coin owned by BlackRock, and then he talked shit about Ethereum. Like none of us had anything shitty to say about any of the other coins. We were just explaining and answering questions that he had about Caspa. But he clearly did not do any research. He asked us a couple questions about like how 2 weeks in there was that inflation where uh, the extra cash was sent to a burn address. He asked us about that. Then he asked about something in April where like, yeah, you can cryptographically go back and verify everything fine is fine with the network. And then I think where he was really upset, he didn't get an answer that he wants. So he was also, it seemed like he had an agenda and he was looking for something specifically. And he kept saying, so he's like, so Caspa is money. So Caspa is no, I'm like, no, that's one of the features. And I see Parker back in here. I did share this earlier. Parker had that hit home for me. It's like, no, that's one of the features. Caspa is a global sequencer, validating the base layer with truth. And it just really didn't hit home with him. And I got on there about 15 minutes late, left a little bit early, and he ended it pretty quickly because it didn't seem like he was getting any of the answers that he wanted. And so basically, his litmus test was listening to three people as if we are Caspa, right? We all know decentralized. I'm not Caspa. I am Juan. I'm just one of one of you guys. And and he's like, I'm gonna pass on Caspa, and then immediately puts up that fucking video, and then blocks me after I put up a comment saying like his narrative was challenged, um, and basically said a bunch of shit that wasn't said by us. Like if there was anybody that was being negative on the call and talking shit about other coins, it was him. And he's like, I don't want you guys to come after me. I'm like, no, bro, I'm gonna come after and fix facts. Like you're not gonna sit there and smear. Well, I think Bishop has a clip of it or whatnot, but yeah. So
Yeah,
that's basically a little bit of a tidbit
that's
of what
definitely
happened.
where I come into this community. I'll be the Caspa bully. I don't care. I'm not even a maxi or like I Juan, you checked me the other day. If I had $1 million, I'd put 40,000 in cash. Like I'm not fully mentally convicted in this stuff, but the one thing I'm absolutely convicted in is truth. And I tried to watch as much as I could of the interview you guys were doing. And this guy was blocking truth of statement. And I don't stand for that. So yeah, I made a 7-minute clip. I wish I could have clipped more, but I was doing it from my phone and not my computer. From my computer, I'd have just downloaded the whole thing. But yeah, man, like I don't. You're absolutely right, dude. Like he invites you on, you're a guest in his house, and he goes, "But this is what we do in my house," and it's like, okay, but we don't get to talk then, and then we're the bad guys. It was honestly it was fucking rude. So when he decided to take it down, but I still had access because I linked it. Yeah, I took as much as I could. So yeah, I posted a 7-minute clip to kind of show his hypocrisy.
So essentially, he was trying to like engagement farm from the Caspa community
Yeah,
for whatever initiative he was trying to.
correct.
I still. How do you even decouple from Bitcoin
He's trying to be a mini.
raising money? That doesn't even make sense
He's
to
trying to
me.
be like a
Abs-
mini
yeah,
BlackRock or some mini treasury company, thinking like, "Hey, these 17 coins he's literally said he's trying to raise like 20 billion." So I don't know if he
yeah.
has pockets
It's
like that or connections like that. And the dude literally begged people from Caspa he canceled on everybody on Friday, and then I
yeah,
saw that he was going to do it on Monday, and I personally sent him a message and said, "Hey, if you actually want people within Caspa to participate, like we run all these spaces on Monday. Tuesday's probably a better day." Then he changed it to Tuesday, and then I found out he didn't really confirm anybody. So like Lavendi was supposed to be on there, Chris was supposed to be on there, Hutchinson, the other guys from the other blockchain banter.
I talked to Kasmi today, and he was invited to the first one, and he was like, "Yeah, I never got a follow up to come on the ones that
Yeah,
weren't
so
canceled."
the dude is just he talked about his impressions and his community and all that. It just he's a crypto guy. He's a crypto guy that did absolutely no research. I did research on him. I brought up a couple things. I noticed that he was pretty well informed on crypto, and I brought up a couple things, and it was it just didn't land, man. So it was a good learning experience. I wish I would have recorded the whole thing. My whole thing is like I don't give a shit if people agree with me or not. You're going to get my truth like you do every single time, and formulate your own opinion, and then come after that. It's just like he came off as somebody just trying to get information out the way he wants. So he wants to fit people into like this obviously his fund, and for everybody to love all 17 of his coins. So he's a 17 coin maxi. That's what he was. He's a 17 coin maxi, if anything.
Mhm. But here's the thing, for somebody wanting to put together a fund like that, they think that hoarding a whole bunch of stuff is abundance, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Abundance isn't a pile; it's a current, and when current moves, life grows on the banks, not on traditional banks, but on the river banks. And when the current gets dammed, like an otter dam or an artificial dam, but when it gets dammed by fear, everything downstream starts to starve. Currency is meant to circulate, and the Bitcoin ledger, and all these other ledgers, it's meant to carry flow, not to actually trap it. And that's something maybe I can frame it a different way. Abundance is not accumulation; it's about flow. And in the energy world, we don't worship the barrel or the wire. We worship the movement. We worship the pipelines and the grids and the networks. And if it stagnates, the system suffers. And a ledger is the riverbed. And what fascinates me about Casper is that it feels like a ledger built for current, for motion, for truthful flow at scale. And we also talked a little bit esoterically earlier about frequency. And different communities seem to have different frequencies, and when we add the static of fear and cynicism and division, we narrow that frequency channel. But as a community, when we build coherence and we support builders, um, we clarify narrative and we welcome people in. We widen the channel quite significantly, and I think that's something. And I really like this whole idea of flow as truth in motion, and a network is a living thing. It
And that's exactly what the block tag looks like. I mean, the visualizer, right? It's just taking the orphan blocks and just the way it's structured. It's taking everything into account and then flowing, right? Versus
yeah.
not counting. Yeah, so it's more aligned with how we function as humans and how energy needs to flow.
Yeah, it looks like breathing
Right.
and a heartbeat.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like breathing in and out combined with a
Yep.
pulse.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it feels like too. So, Kara, how we doing?
I'm loving this so much.
She's in deep
Yeah.
meditation mode.
I am. Oh my god. I'm just listening and absorbing all of this goodness.
Yeah, this has been great. No doubt. The flow, the energy. Um, Yeah, this is cool. This is beneath the surface. I love how we get there eventually. We get there every single time.
We do every single episode. It always happens.
So where we at? How you feeling? We're 3 hours in. It's been a great conversation. Appreciate everybody who's come up to the panel. Um, we're about 3 hours. Anybody else want to come up and say a few things, contribute to the conversation?
I do want to say when I was talking to Casme earlier, I lived on the Kaspa standard today. I know that's not this show, but I went to CasMart.org and I bid on the Kaspa miner that he was promoting, and I won it. So when he finally sends it to me, I'll be uh, supplying the block DAG with hash power,
Hell yeah.
and I'll officially become
Beautiful.
a Kaspa miner. Yeah,
Congrats, bro. And you did it on that's important to you. So Bishop talks a lot about Caspa needing to be cyclical for him. When he would say that in the beginning, I'm like, huh? What does
correct.
that mean? But it makes sense to me now. So I understand. And that's
That's
Yeah,
super cool, bro. That's super cool that you bought
that's
that.
a huge milestone. That's almost like the pizza, the Bitcoin pizza transaction, you know.
And
it feels good.
he has
You know,
every
it was that.
no, go ahead, Bishop. Go ahead.
No, it feels good because the site is built to benefit Caspa, and I paid in cash for the miner, and when I get the miner, I that's like again the cyclical thing, right? I for what I paid for it, I will be doing the math to see what the block rewards will need to be in order for me to get that cash back, because that is important to me. I'll spend fiat on energy if I can earn the cash back, and that's kind of where now it can become cyclical. And anything that I do spend, if I buy an NFT, okay, how many more can I mine to supplement buying that NFT? Like this is now like super exciting for me. So yeah, the fact that I paid for it in cash, um, and it's going to be sent to me by someone who loves Caspa, and I can support his vision too with CasMart.org. It lit me up pretty good today. I was excited about it.
So, quick question about the marketplace itself. Like, what are the safety concerns as far as paying for an object and it actually being delivered? Is there some sort of safety mechanism in place?
So there's an escrow. So all purchases go into escrow to be verified from, or the transfer doesn't happen until the seller verifies that the item is sent. So it can always be, I believe, and I don't want to speak for Casme, but I believe that's what it is. That so right now my purchase is in escrow. He has my cash, but until it's verified that it's been shipped, it won't go to him. So once, if that never verifies, then it'll go back to me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really gonna have to look into this and make some posts and make some purchases.
Yeah, you can probably sell them photos too.
Yeah,
Same.
maybe.
I got a lot of stuff that I put in storage, including some nice little artwork. I think
Do it, bro.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want to keep that stuff in storage. I want my money to flow, like Rory's talks about. We got to get this thing to flow. I don't want to keep that there.
Yeah,
So
I even and because Casme's tight with everyone, he's just a dope dude. Even on the auction, I had to hit him up. I'm like, bro, like the only thing I was gonna bidding against myself because you couldn't see if you were at least the high bidder. Um, and he's like, thank you for letting me know. I will be fixing that. So it's just really exciting that he's working so hard to make this thing be perfect.
yeah, man, he's always working hard. He love Casmart. So it's Casmart, right? Is it Casmart? What's the site? We should link it.
KasMart.org.
Okay.
I like that. My son has a lot of comic books he's been wanting to sell. He's got some on eBay. He made some of his first sales in the last couple months. And it's his first way of kind of having his first job. It's something he can do from home and learn how to assign value to his comic books and that sort of thing. And I think branching beyond eBay and using Kaspa will be a good way to get his feet wet to actually use Kaspa outside of just having a wallet. And for a teenage boy, I think using this kind of marketplace to sell comic books would be a really good way to have them feel that enthusiasm with Kaspa, besides it just being about money, but being just another way to use it so he can actually see in motion the exchange happen over something that he's making available as a physical product. So I think that's really great.
He's got everything on here. I hadn't been to the site. So look, there's literally NFTs, KNS domains, gigs, electronics, video games, clothing, shoes, sneakers, jewelry, home and garden, collectible art. Okay, there's a lot of categories here. This is pretty dope. I hadn't been to the site. All right,
I've got to check it out.
yeah, I gotta check this out too.
Warrior, I see that you're here. Do you want to step up and join our panel?
Who?
Onion.
Onion.
Did I say warrior?
You did say warrior. I'm like, what? I didn't. And I have it on my screen. I'm like, warrior is back.
Freudian slip. I think it's that for a period of time they had similar
Yeah,
profile pictures.
they were a tag team, a vicious tag team.
Onion, you're regular. We love having you on the panel, so you got to click that request button.
Onion's been taking a little bit of a back seat, hasn't he, Kara? It's like he's been chill. I think we reversed roles because I'm more. I'm not as intense as he was, but there
Oh,
he
he
is.
requested to speak. He's here.
There he is. What's up,
Onion,
buddy?
what's up, buddy?
Hello, y'all. What's up?
Sorry for calling you the wrong name.
How dare you?
God
First,
dang
I'm
it.
not a co-host, bro. First, she's like purposely not making me a co-host, so I can't bring anybody up. She's doing that on purpose as punishment, I think. And then she calls you warrior. What's going on, Kara? Are we okay?
I'm so sorry. I'm good.
We're gonna have to get a Kaspa brick thrower up here. Do you remember when he had that name?
Oh my god. No, I messed up. I feel bad. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, man, I miss y'all. How y'all doing? How's Kaspa? I've been kind of out of the loop.
Cass was good. We got VProgs in repo. We've got GeoSeal showing proof of evidence. We've got a bunch of new wallets doing bridges, and Cascade is now DeFiing. We're about to DeFi with Mexi, and there's all these new things in the works, and new things are going to be announced later this week. There's just so much happening always.
God damn, that's amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do one of your solo spaces and just rant, so because we miss those. So we need those back ASAP, or whenever you can. No rush. We also we also told you that we would come find you if you didn't come because like you've been requested to be a regular on the show.
Oh, well, thank y'all.
Rory has taken your spot the last 2 weeks, by the way.
Hey, that's I'm honored. I'm honored. I
Casper
love
Key, yeah, he's been drop. You should have heard the. Well, I don't think you weren't on earlier, but he was dropping these dime one-liners. I'm gonna clip this up and start sharing it. So I put myself out there that I gotta hold me accountable. Everybody
it.
in this space, I gotta
Yeah.
clip these up. We
Some
have to.
amazing quotes from him. I mean, some really good stuff. Just incredible stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna hold you accountable. I'll probably clip some too, using Flogen because I have a few credits where I can clip a few. So I'll help out a little bit.
Sounds like a winner.
Onion, it is always a pleasure. The last two episodes, I have only heard you say one sentence, which is I am just a fly on the wall. So it's good to hear you say something else.
Oh, yeah. I just, I don't really have much to say. I'm just a fly on the wall right now. So yeah, but I love what y'all are doing. I love y'all are keeping Caspa moving. So that's freaking awesome. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
find it hard to believe you got nothing to say, bro.
Yeah.
I know. I've said it. I have 24,000 tweets. I feel like I've said everything. I said it all.
It's like it's only
I saw
halftime for
somebody
me over here.
complaining about a butthole post you made earlier. I thought that was funny.
Oh no way. Did someone complain about my post? Ugh.
Onion, a little bit earlier, Rory was calling some Bitcoiners some bleeps, and I immediately thought of you, Onion, and thought of you saying ball sacks for their name instead of bleeps.
Oh, dude, these Bitcoiners, I've just given up, man. I see all these posts from these Bitcoin maxis, and my muscle memory is literally to just respond to the tweet and call them like a fucking moron. But I just can't do that anymore. I don't have it in me this week. You know, like Juan
Oh
said, oh yeah,
no, go,
oh
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I was gonna go ahead.
Juan, once you said once like Onion, one day when you're older and wiser, you'll have it in you anymore. I think I hit that point.
Yeah, you know what I've always mentioned is like I mean we go through phases, man. So sometimes it's just hard to keep up that energy, right? I've you know, we're obviously in a couple chats together, and we've had some conversations like DM back and forth, and you know, you're somebody with so much knowledge, and a lot of people have learned a lot from you, bro. You know, especially since you announced yourself on Bitcoin Caspa debate, but. Yeah, man, just looking out. It's just like I know that that's not sustainable, and I was like that. I was definitely like that when I was younger, and yeah, so you'll go in and out of it, right? You know, just gotta maybe it's halftime for you. Just
Yeah.
we're at like halftime, and then you'll come back. You'll come back out with it if you need to. You know, I think some of that's necessary, but I've been somewhat of a pit bull lately. Had to be so.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen.
don't
Oh,
give
sorry,
up on
what?
the YouTube channel, Onion. I rather enjoyed your rants on YouTube, so don't think nobody's out there listening.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. Y'all are freaking awesome. I love y'all and I love Caspa so much. Um, I learn a lot from y'all as well, so y'all are very valuable to this space. So thank y'all for everything you do.
Yeah, we all come with a
I'm
unique perspective and all share something really different. And one thing from you, Onion, that you've talked a lot about that in the beginning I didn't know much about, but now I feel I know a lot about is the stuff you've talked about with the bank runs and IOUs and what's going to happen down the road when the free market hits and what happens if everyone tries to get their Bitcoin out at the same time and the problems that would create, the delays. Those were things that I had never considered. And you had so thoroughly thought it out and brought unique perspectives to that in a way that I had never even considered. And now that I think about it, now it makes Bitcoin something that is something I just would not want to have at all, not even as a store of value, because of that perspective that you brought. And even though I can respect Bitcoin as a store of value, it's not where I want to store my value. So I appreciated that. And everyone brings a unique perspective. Juan brings this unique perspective of his background and the way that he grew his value and understood it, right? So Juan, you bring this perspective of your human experience of building a life of independence and sovereignty and truth and seeking that and finding that flow that inevitably brought you to more truth and it being something that's beyond a currency, right? It's all these other things, and you've seen that and studied that, and you see it, and now you share it, and it's like wildfire with you. You can go up to someone and say, "Hey, what's your story with money? What's your understanding of money? Oh, okay, well, tell me about you. Where are you at? Oh, well, here's how Kaspa can be part of that vision." So that's sort of your inner um your inner, I wouldn't say recruitment, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's your step inward to people who are probably going to adopt it, because I think you've adopted dozens and dozens, over 60 people at this point, right? And everyone here brings that unique perspective. Rory, you come in here with this perspective. It's actually multiple perspectives. All of us have the multiple, but yours today, I saw sort of a twofold beyond the commerce and the enterprise and countries, companies, adoption, and all of that. There's this energetic, meditative, introspective look at Kaspa and how the community uh, has an emotional appeal and sort of an external move outward. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's beyond the flow of it. It's knowing that this energy and stories and the emotion that's felt, and it's purposeful and it's beautiful. All of us have brought things. Bishop, you have your perspective coming at this from wrestling. You have found a way to merge your love and passion for wrestling and include Kaspa. That is such a unique way of saying, hey, here's my human experience. I love slamming people down and hiya. And here's Kaspa, and here's this amazing thing, and here's why I like it. And let's look at this. And you ask questions about it that are very open ended, which I think brings a unique way of having people think for themselves. And I think that's beautiful. At 16-bit, I have seen you in the community commenting everywhere on so many topics, and you don't seem to flee when it gets kind of crazy. You stay there, you come in with your logic and your facts and your fun attitude and your unique perspective that shows that you understand what Kaspa is. You explain why you like it. You give your reasons for it. You back it up with supportive evidence. And sometimes it feels anecdotal, and sometimes it's just facts. And the fact that you know how to adapt to what the person needs to hear, it's a skill. And you have it. It's this talent that you have. Odie, who is listening right now, he's created this amazing calculator that looks at the fee market of Kaspa and Bitcoin and looks at what things are going to cost. That's taking the perspective of money and thinking in the future so that people can put their own spin on what this is going to cost, and people can look at themselves and their money and Kaspa as a whole and get a big picture of this. I mean, I could go on and on with pretty much everyone in this audience. Everyone brings something unique to the table, their own stories, and this is what makes people enthusiastic. This is why people are passionate in the Kaspa community. It's our stories, and we all bring a unique flair to this. And it's exciting to be with each and every one of you.
What about you, Kara? Like the lady in the room, the holding it down with you sharing your story with us about how it wasn't easy, but it was all about your sovereignty and discovering Caspa way before I think most of us here. Maybe only Rory and a handful of others, but we appreciate you and what you bring in as a leader and what you're doing raising your boy and just how deep you are. And you know, it throws me for a loop every time you put on that tinfoil hat. But like every time I listen back, I'm like, oh shit, okay, I missed that during the conversation. But okay, I can see where she's going with it. All right, didn't even think of it in that perspective. So you bring a very unique perspective yourself, and we appreciate you. So beautiful breakdown of every single
Thank
person that's
you.
up here talking, and you know, got to give you your love too and your props because we appreciate you.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. Cara brings a very different vibe and everything else to to these spaces. Um, I just wish, you know, being Irish, I really wish that I could go on a full blown Irish style rant, full of our full of expletives and everything else to really say and you know, give my views on what I think about various aspects of the crypto markets, but unfortunately I have a very conservative pair of bosses in Paul Van Son as our chairman and Barack Raplova as our secretary general, who wouldn't appreciate me doing it at all, particularly if it was in a recorded space.
So we won't
Um,
clip that up for you, Rory. Well, that's between us. Even though this is
Yeah, that's
recorded,
what
I will
happens at the
not clip
party
any of that
stays
up
the
because we
party.
got some of it. It would be cool to get more of it. But we understand, and we won't hold that against you. We won't share the evidence.
I might save that for another time. I'll give you a full blown rant on Michael Saylor and Garlinghouse and the guy that I have certain views on who runs Cardano and so on. But
We
you
gotta get you in a bar. That's all.
We
know.
do. I love that
The only
idea.
problem is I don't actually drink alcohol. That's the weird
Me
thing.
neither, but we can still go to
Um,
the bar. You know, we can still
we can
go.
still
Yeah,
go to
I
the
don't really
I
bar.
don't
drink.
drink either, but we can all sit there and sip on some water.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Some club
I
soda.
will I will drink for all of you, and I will speak in Rory's words. You just DM me the script you want me to say.
Love
I'll
it.
get bombed up and say everything for you. I will fall on the Casper sword. That's what I'm here for.
We can put our
But
phones in the Faraday cages.
yeah, but I think, you know, we talked about a lot of esoteric things earlier that were sharp but grounded, and I just like to sort of just finish up on some of those thoughts. And it's, you know, there's a clear contrast, you know, with, I suppose, the toxic Bitcoin maxi culture, you know, who like to attack and you know, I think it's definitely a framing of, as we talked about earlier, fear versus flow and scarcity versus coherence. And I suppose I want to say this very gently but honestly. Um, I feel that a lot of crypto generally is being shaped by fear, and that is the fear of change, the fear of dilution, the fear of letting anything move. And you can feel it in the maximalism. You can feel it in the hoarding. You can feel it in the need, in the constant need to defend the past. And for me, Caspa feels different. Um, yes, there is a mindset and a large amount of the Caspa hasn't or doesn't necessarily move all that well, but it doesn't grip. There is some flow to it. It doesn't shout scarcity. It embodies abundance as a movement and as a truth in motion. And I suppose it isn't about tribes or superiority. It's about frequency. And one of the things I think it's very important that we should all be aware of is that fear constricts systems, and coherence, and particularly coherence amongst communities, and the messaging around the communities, that coherence allows something like Kaspa to breathe. And if the future of money is a real time, live, living ledger, then I choose the network that trusts flow over fear, and that invites us to build and expand and do really great, innovative, new things rather than build moats or barricades. And I just wanted to sort of end my contribution to this space on that note.
That was
That's really
that was
powerful.
beautifully said. Yeah, go ahead, Kara. Go ahead.
No, I was done. I was just gonna say that's so powerful. Go ahead,
No,
Juan.
that was it for me. I mean, I don't think we need to go any further. We're 3.5 hours in. If unless anybody else wants to say anything, I think that's a great way to call it a night. Unless anybody else wants anything has anything else to add. But that was beautifully said, Rory. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for giving us your time again. Staying up in Ireland, I know it's super early in the morning, so you must not sleep, or you're
No, I
flowing with the
can
energy.
I can operate on very limited amounts of
That's
sleep.
because you're purpose
Um,
driven. I bet because there's just so much to work on. I bet.
yeah, I'm literally jumping on a call to China in 2 minutes time. So
There we go. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you stayed with us here the entire 3.5 hours. So we
Thank
appreciate that.
you. Yeah, we value your time and your knowledge and you sharing so openly so much valuable information. Thank you, Rory.
you're more than welcome. I thought it would be helpful, and please, have a look and support the Tuesday blockchain banter
Yep.
with crypto pumps. It was an interesting one. We went into a lot of KI detail and stuff there, so it's an interesting one. So I refer to that rather than actually going into detail on this show today. So I'd really recommend just giving that channel a little bit of support as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely check it out. I did link it in the comments. I linked it up at the top in the banner, so check that out. And like 16-bit suggested, I'm gonna watch it and maybe find out when you pull out the ledger, and then I'm gonna clip up some none of the bad stuff, none of the stuff that'll get you in trouble when you were going off about Sailor and said some of the but I'll clip some of these one-liners that you dropped. So we absolutely have to put this together and spread the good word on what's been spread in this space. So thank you again, Rory.
Yeah, no worries. I'm literally gonna hop
All
onto a
right.
Zoom call.
Take care.
Take care,
Thank
guys.
you. Take care.
See ya. Goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Kara and Juan, not the host or not the co-host. You guys have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you
Thanks for
for
coming
being
on.
here.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me speak, guys. Good to see you. Always a great space on Wednesday nights for sure.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, it's always good to have you here. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Every one of our listeners, you mean a lot to us. We love knowing that you're here connecting with us. We see you. We appreciate the seeing your profile pictures, but also the thumbs ups, the claps, the hearts, the hundreds. We see you. We appreciate you, and taking the time out of your day to be here with us. It means a lot. And those who are listening later on recording, we see you and we thank you. It means a lot to see that people are listening back, that people are seeking this out and being a part of the conversation, taking what is being said here and learning and growing with it, sharing the knowledge, sharing the information. It's so important to the community, to the narrative, to have these positive conversations and learn more truth and have that involvement. So thank you to all the listeners here present and those coming in later. We see you and appreciate you. All of our speakers. We had 16-bit and Bishop, and of course, Onion, Rory, and special co-host Juan. It's always a pleasure to have people here who bring so much positive outlook with stories and kindness and humor and all of it. It's just such an all-encompassing experience that makes this worthwhile, makes it profound, it makes it authentic and genuine. And I love that. I love every minute of it. Those of you who are listening here and want to listen to any archives, all of our episodes, including our last one, they're all archived on my YouTube channel. So check out my bio. There's a link and you can listen to all the Blockchain Banter Beneath the Surface episodes so you don't miss a thing. They're all there. So if you don't want to listen on X, you can listen on YouTube. And for a lot of people who have new car stereos, you can actually listen to YouTube while you're driving in your car, where you can't really do that with X. So that's one of the benefits of putting this also on YouTube. And it also brings new people into our sphere. So I also want to say hello to people listening to us on YouTube. I haven't actually thanked YouTubers for listening, but I see you and thank you for taking the time to learn about Kaspa. Here we're talking on X and Vivor, but we also are broadcasting to you on YouTube. So it's nice to have you here. If you enjoy our show, if anyone wants to send some flow of energy, Juan and I share a wallet, and it is beneaththesurface.cas. So if you have a Casware wallet or a wallet that can send Kaspa to a KNS domain, ours is beneaththesurface.cas, and we split proceeds 50-50 between us. And we love receiving whatever you feel like giving, although nothing is necessary. So yeah, thanks for having me here, and I'm glad to be a part of this. And I'm going to let Juan finish up. So thank you.
Thanks, Kara. Thanks for everybody sharing, contributing to the conversation. Bishop, Kaspa Onion, Rory earlier, 16-bit. We didn't get to hear from Crypto Odie. He was on the entire time, I believe. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate everybody in the audience, everybody who's going to listen back, like Kara said. It means a lot. It means a lot. If you enjoyed the show, definitely retweet it, send it to somebody. There was some gold in here for sure, and I loved a lot of the conversation. But specifically, I want to hit home on the whole flow and how that makes what Caspa is doing very different. Like this isn't about hoarding, storing. It really is about sharing this as much as you can. So when you share this space, whether you send some Caspa, it's a transfer of energy and it's all about flow. So appreciate all of you. And a reminder that thank you for joining us on Blockchain Banter Beneath the Surface, where Caspa carries the current of truth, vibrating at the frequency of seekers. So remember, one conversation at a time, be humble, be kind, give it time. Love you all. Have a good night. We'll see you next week, episode 15.
Yay. Love y'all. Peace out.
Love you, bro.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Good night.